right, everyone? Just checking the mic. Can everyone hear me? You all coming in nice? There we go. Just adjust the mic a little bit. Chat, let me know if you can hear me right now. Making sure the mic isn't busted or broken today. Let me know. Kinda low? That's a shame. How about now? Does it sound a little louder? Does it sound better? Does it sound good? Music will get lower shortly. I'll lower that a little bit. Good. That's alright. Maybe a little more louder. Alright. Let's lower the sounds a little bit there. That sound better, guys? You all liking how this sounds? Oh, man. What a week, right? What a week. Ah, magnificent. Magnificent. Perfection, you say? Good. I'm not sure why I did that voice. That was kind of silly. But here we are. Back again. Welcome, chat, for another entertaining stream, hopefully. God willing, it'll be fun to watch. But, who really knows? Who really knows? Oh my goodness, what a couple of days. Heroes in Crisis sucked. Yes, it did. Tom King is a mixed bag, I will say. Remember, liking women is gay. Yeah, apparently that's what I've heard from the manosphere, that apparently if you love women, that's a sign of homosexuality, apparently. If you're a man, I don't understand that. I can't figure that out. I'd imagine the exact opposite, being gay, would be to make love with a woman, but, what do I know? I'm sure Andrew Tate knows what he's talking about. Oh, my goodness. But there's men and women. Yeah, exactly. There you go. Well, welcome once again to another one of these entertaining streams. Here's hoping. And is you like... now you must acquire a taste for freeform jazz. Basically. Oh my goodness. What a couple of days, huh? What a couple of days. A lot's happened in the last couple of days.
At Cartoon49 super chatted $2. Fav Nolan movie?
Probably Inception, I think. I would say Inception. No, the Prestige. Forgot about that.
At Otto Johnny super chatted $10. Wow, I can't believe I called it. They're so predictable.
Yeah, no, they're very predictable, these guys. They're very, very on a certain formula.
At Jonathan Frostathan super chatted $4.99. Hey Aunt, I love your videos, but I also got a bone to pick with you for making What Are You Gonna Do? One of my newest and most repetitive vocal stims.
I'm very sorry about that. It's one of mine. That and I Digress are really bad vocal stims of mine, I guess. I do them all the time. It's terrible. It used to be when I was younger, I used to run track and field in my high school, and they used to say, fair enough a lot. I was one of the reoccurring ones. It got so bad that my track team for the high school, for the year t-shirt, put the words fair enough on my t-shirt, just to rub it in slightly more that I was so consistent with my terminology. But, I digress. Oh my goodness. What a couple of days, though. There's a lot to talk about.
At Sam last name B6N super chatted $1.99. Musical note. I fucking called it musical note.
Yeah, you probably did. Wouldn't even be shocked if you called this one. It's the most predictable thing in the world. Will they get mad about Supergirl the movie? Well, turns out they did. Will they try grifting off of the Green Lantern show? Turns out, yes, they will. Will they even start grifting over the tragic passing of Rob Reiner? Yes, they will. Unless, of course, your prediction was about the Avengers trailers, in which case, will they grift somehow about the Avengers Doomsday trailer and Spider-Man Brand New Days trailers leaking ahead of time? Yes, they will. Oh, by the way, in case you didn't hear, Spider-Man Brand New Days trailer just leaked online a couple hours ago. Or at least a recording of it. And I recall you saying that you like Korean horror movies. What about K-dramas? Not enough K-dramas, unfortunately. Hey, thank you so much for the 5 gifted memberships. That's fantastic. If you are now a member of the channel, you can gain access to our exclusive Discord. I will be adding a new link.
At Jeffrey Pyatt super chatted $1.
Thank you so much for the super chat, Jeffrey. There's no message there, but that's okay. A lot of people joining as members. If you want to support the channel, you always can do that. It's always love that. Oh yeah, this is cool actually. Got a super chat coming in. Okay, so 5 gifted members, and we have Scorpion's super chat coming in shortly. That super chat come? I'm not sure if it played. Okay, guess not. That's odd. Things just glitching a little bit. That's all right. What's in the cup? It's chai. Chai's in the cup. You're not gonna say. Not gonna repeat. I'm not gonna say TT twice. You know. Chai tea. That's tea. Chai means tea. Sorry, I was thinking that line from Spider-Man. No, Cross Spider-Verse. Oh, here we go. Super chat. No super chat coming in. That's
at Scorpion104 super chatted $5 from last week. I use first showing to see upcoming films. Helps me catch smaller wide releases like Gore Verbinski's Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die.
That I want to see. That title has me going for. I'm enjoying that title. It seems like a fun title. Isn't what's his name in there? He's a little more. Isn't who's in that? By the way, trailer for the new Spielberg movie came out. I'm excited. I really want to see that. Oh, what's the movie called? It's oh, here you go. So yeah, I was right. So Sam Rockwell is in Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. I always enjoy Sam Rockwell. I think he's really entertaining. Michael Pena's in it, and Zazie Beetz. I love all those actors. Those are all fantastic actors. Yeah, no, new Spielberg trailer came out. Looks really fun. Looks really fun, not gonna lie. I'm excited to see that one. What we got here? Super chats are a little delayed, I'm noticing.
At Tall King Movie Bubbles B6N super chatted $1.99. These grifters are lemons.
That they are, but they're lemmings, I would say, not lemons. When life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Make life rue the day it took So actually, I'm going to tell you this right now. Friday's video may be delayed a day, maybe, on the Saturday potentially, because it's going to be a massive video. It's a lot of work being put into it. It's a reaction video to a video that came out recently by a user named The Second Story. Again, there is a video they put out about fan fiction that I thought was so heinous and so terrible. I'm gonna have to respond to it in full, and I need to talk about this one. It's gonna be over 2 hours long, this video at least, possibly closer to 3. There is so much to talk about, but I'm trying my best to get it done on time. We'll see. I want to get done by Friday. Most likely it's going to be around Saturday, I think, because it's just too long to finish in 1 week.
At Whoop69 super chatted $2. Thoughts on the Doomsday Brand New Day trailers?
Yes, I have a few thoughts on them. I don't want to give away spoilers to anything because I don't want to spoil that which hasn't come out yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to spoil something that most people can't even watch at all currently. But I will say this. I think it's very interesting how they're releasing a set of trailers for Avengers Doomsday. It's going to release 4 trailers, in case you don't know. And the first 3 are going to be focusing on 3 specific characters. A trinity of characters, one might say. And the last trailer is going to be a full-blown teaser, like the official teaser that you'll associate with being a teaser. I think it's an interesting idea. It's an interesting strategy. I guess it's a reason why people want to... I guess it will reward people who go to see Avatar Fire and Ash like multiple times, but I don't really know who's going to want to do that. I've heard it hasn't gotten a lot of great reviews yet. There's a lot of spoilery discussion about Doomsday. I'm not going to discuss it now because as of now it's unconfirmed. I am intrigued. I am cautiously optimistic about Doomsday, as I have been for a while. Is it kind of a legacy sequel nostalgia bait? Yes, but is that necessarily a bad thing? I don't know. Oh, new super
At Stingertopia 3169 super chatted $20. Grifters basically. Life gave me lemons. I like lemons. Life then also gave me limes and avocados. I hate those, but my family loves them. I will now scream at life to only give me lemons plus stop pushing all these other things.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Cave Johnson would be very proud. Yeah, no, Portal 2, that's another game I got to replay. It's been ages since I played Portal 2. Anyway, but Brand New Day, though, that's going to be interesting. I'm intrigued by that trailer. The leaks so far, for those who don't know, there was a very grainy leak of Brand New Day that came out. I'm going to take my outer layer off because it's getting hot in here. There was a grainy leak for that trailer. It looks really cool. I think it's going to be really excellent, but that's the one I'm most excited for. Brand New Day. The trailer, all we know is it hasn't really told anything that that we don't know yet, except for potentially that Sadie Sink may in fact be playing a villain. Possibly a shapeshifter, possibly a teleporter. It's kind of hard to tell because the trailer is extremely grainy. We'll see. We're gonna see. Still, it's gonna be interesting. Yeah, I'm really excited for the new Spider-Man movie. That's for me. I'm more excited about Spider-Man than I am Doomsday because I've always loved Spider-Man more. Guys, I'm gonna be obnoxious this year with Spider-Man videos. This upcoming year, it's gonna be a lot of Spider-Man videos, dude. I'm just telling you right now, giving you a heads up. There will be Spider-Man to be discussed in the coming year. It's been a lot of John Norman. I do want to do a John Norman video, but I want to find a way to frame it correctly to make sure I can get people interested in the discussion of John Norman and Gore, as well as just a bunch of different topics. A lot of topics I want to talk about, but it's tricky to find out how to properly frame it in a way where audiences and folks will be interested outside of my general audience. I mean, you guys watch whatever I say, most likely, but you know, the YouTube algorithm is such a messy beast. You gotta be careful. You gotta know what to say and how to phrase it. And there are a lot of good topics, and frankly, at this point, I do things because I want to talk about them. But I also make sure that you guys have the most bang for your buck, so to speak. I make long videos. I don't want to waste your time with them. I want to make sure you get something good out of it. You know, a good thesis, a good argument. So, you know, I want to make sure it's something you guys will find interesting. With a pitch to you guys, that'll be intriguing. But let's talk a little bit about the tragedy this week. It's a true tragedy. Before we get into anything else, I want to talk about this because he's my all-time favorite directors. Let's talk about Rob Reiner. I don't want to get into too much detail about it. This is not a news channel, of course. You know, it is what it is. But you know, Rob Reiner was one of the all-time greats in cinema. Oh, that's a bad photo. One of the all-time greats, really. Let me bring this up here. Just a class act all the way down. Just a fantastic director. People had nothing but kind. Even friggin' on the other side of the political aisle. What's his name? Whose name eludes me. Hades. Contact. Final Fantasy Spirits Within. James Woods. There we go. Even he was like saying like nothing but positive things about Rob Reiner. If you get like people on the other side of the political aisle to like cry over your loss, that means you're doing something extremely right. You know, extremely right. And again, people have pointed this out. I've said this for years. People have said this also for years as well. I'm not the first one to say this. Tons of other people say this too. Rob Reiner has one of the most legendary runs of any director, period. Spinal Tap, Stand By Me, Princess Bride, Harry Met Sally, A Few Good Men, Misery. I know it's broken up between the rest and North, but The American President, even The Bucket List, you know? Like, just one after the other in different genres. It's absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Mostly of Carpenter's vampires. Yeah, no, actually, I would say Videodrome is probably James Wood's best movie. I would say that. And it's funny because of how Cronenberg is very... I don't think James Woods understood the messages of Videodrome, because it's very transgressive in ways that I feel a conservative audience really can't appreciate fully. Without being repulsed by it, in any case. Hercules. I mean, obviously Hades, Hercules, and of course that's a classic, but like still. Yeah, no. And all the Rob Reiner films they're so quotable, right? That's the thing.
At the Runner super chatted $5. If anyone doesn't know him, but is a Pokemon fan, Stand By Me, a film directed by him, is the movie playing on the TV at the start of Red and Blue.
There you go. There you go. And it's actually, that makes a lot of sense because, like, with Stand By Me, it is a story about childhood nostalgia. It's based on... Do I have it here? Yes, I did. 1 second.
At Koarizarich super chatted $10. I wish they would do a grounded set of Marvel series with Daredevil and the like.
I would like that.
Let Spider-Man and the others dip in and out. They don't have to be tied into the big stuff like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was.
I would love to see more grounded superhero stuff in general, so I'm so excited for Brand New Day. But no, so Stand By Me is based on the Stephen King novella The Body, and it's a very short book. I mean, I would say Reiner was one of the best to adapt King's works. He only did two, Stand By Me, which is an adaptation of The Body, and Misery, which is, I think, one of the greatest Stephen King films of all time as well. Probably the best horror Stephen King story. I know some people are like, oh, The Shining, oh, It, no, Pet Sematary. No. Misery is the best horror adaptation of Stephen King, I think. Got the best horror vibes. But The Body, Stand By Me is a classic. It's a masterpiece of storytelling. He also produced Shawshank and Green Mile. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. I do credit those more with I do credit those. Oh crap! I'm trying to blank on his name. He did Shawshank, Green Mile, The Mist, The Majestic 2, I guess, The Walking Dead, script for Nightmare on Elm Street 3, and The Blob. I can't believe I'm blanking on the director's name, but still, I do think it's. I was just taking clips from The Majestic for the video I'm doing on for this week. Anyway, yeah, no, Shawshank is fantastic. And Reiner was an actor. I always forget that. I always forget he's in Sleepless in Seattle. I always forget he's in. I always forget that he's in Wolf of Wall Street. Yeah, no, everyone. Joe Russo. There we go. You want Virginia Madsen? Oh yeah. Frank Darabont. There we go. Thank you, chat. Sorry, I was really blanking on Frank Darabont's name. Fantastic director. It's very tragic what happened. And the way he went too was just horrible, just absolutely terrible. Like that was. I thought at first it was like a gas leak because I was thinking like, oh, him and his wife passed away. It must have been like when the reality it's so horrible, like just so terrible. One of the most disturbing. It's a tragedy. There's just no two ways around it. So naturally, people started grifting about it. Don't you hate humanity sometimes? This is Yellow Flash here, favorite of the channel on this one, very active member. And there's a video right here of him basically making a video about Rob Reiner's murder. Next to Frogan.
At Zypher 8677 super chatted $2. Misery is scary cuz it's most probable to happen.
Absolutely true. That's the thing. It's very plausible. That's what's frightening about it. It can absolutely happen.
At TH3 Catnor super chatted $5. Thoughts on Nerdrotic's dip in views? His Hollywood is Cooked flopped at only 300k views. 2025 is an unmitigated disaster for Friday Night Phonies.
We're going to talk about all of that today. I agree. So Nerdrotic is hitting here's the thing too. A lot of channels are hitting lows and highs
at
this
Pyramid
year.
Head super chatted $5. Stand By Me is incredible. It's an adaptation where every choice they made is just perfect. Also, Reiner's production company was called Castle Rock.
Exactly. Named after Stephen King's famous town, Castle Rock. Agreed. Yeah, no, it's a deeply un-American crime. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, no, Nerdrotic is... Nerdrotic has its ups and downs. Again, you gotta keep in mind this, too. Here's the thing with Nerdrotic right now. His views are connected, and again, I know the Birdman will make comments about like how all the grifters are in decline, and I don't disagree with that necessarily, but like you got to remember also that the grifters' success is connected to whatever controversy is happening around them. They're not self-driven. Outside of a critical drinker type, it's usually connected or tied in with some cultural momentum going on around them. Once the next big hot button grift comes up, like a Rachel Zegler, they'll be back up in terms of views, and we'll be back to the same discussion again, I think. Maybe not Nerdrotic specifically, but that crew. So never think you're out of the woods yet with these guys. They always come back like clockwork. Because rage and dissociation with society, it's always a new form of that. But I think a lot of people are burned out on politics in general because of the last recent couple of years. Anyway, so apparently, according to Yellow Flash, though, I want to bring this up with Nerdrotic. Before we get into the big stuff, apparently they want Nerdrotic gone over trailer leaks. I'm not sure what this means. So let's take a look at this video right here by Yellow Flash and see what he's talking about. I'm gonna mute I actually have no idea what this is even about. Probably garbage. I'm not.
Somehow, Steve Rogers returned, and people are not happy about it. I talked about this yesterday a little bit.
So yeah, I guess we're spoiling the Doomsday trailer that's going to come out shortly. Steve Rogers is coming back. Captain America is returning. I'm not sure what this has to do with Nerdrotic, though. We'll get to the big grifts with Green Lantern and with Supergirl in a second, but I have no idea why Nerdrotic is somehow accountable for this yet. Yellow Flash, maybe explain to me what's going on here.
It's gotten a lot worse today. You know, if only these people have had that same energy when Brave New World was in theaters. That is one of the biggest box office disasters that Marvel has ever had.
Not really. It's not really that bad. It's not a disaster. It underperformed, sure, but it didn't flop. It made its money back. So I don't know. I mean, granted, here's the thing. Did Brave New World struggle? Yeah, it did. Undeniably so. Oop,
At
yep,
000 Agent 88 super chatted $5. To borrow something from another YouTuber, grifters, like most propagandists, know
Yep.
that they're running a flea circus, not a puppet show.
That's very true. They are running a flea circus. They are dependent on the success around them rather than any inherent success they themselves might bring to the table. That's the reality of all this. Ultimately speaking, these guys don't have any real charisma of themselves. I was watching a thing with FD Signifier where he was saying like how a lot of right-wing channels, they don't really need to put effort in because their viewership is passive. They are passive audience members. They're watching very casually. And again, Yellow Flash has been doing decently well for his channel with all the videos he puts out. But again, his videos are also very short. They're very concise. And this one right here, they want Nerdrotic to go. Like, that seems really extreme, hyperbolic. It got me clicking. It's going to get them clicking too, especially when they're looking for people to get angry at. And what this also does is, like people said before, it gets people paying attention to Nerdrotic. It's an ecosystem. It's an ecosystem. They keep each other sustained through controversy that push each other up and everyone else down. No one really thought of Nerdrotic when we thought about Steve Rogers coming back. And we're going to see again later on an example of a grifter using rage bait to prop themselves up, though I think much less successfully than this would be, I think. Anyway, let's keep going.
Nobody watched that movie. Also, nobody watched his show on Disney Plus. So it's wild to me to see this.
You need to say this and his audience just accepts it because they don't actually look up numbers. I mean, I will look up numbers. Let's see. Captain America, Brave New World. box office. So the budget for this movie is estimated to be around 180 million, right? 180 million. Box office return 415.1 million. This does not count return based on licensing deals of the property. This does not count merchandising deals. This does not count home media release. On Disney Plus, the movie was widely watched, but in theaters, not so much. Undeniably, a box office underperformance. A flop? Not necessarily. In order to break even financially, 180 times 2.5. Now, for better or worse, traditional logic dictates it had to get around 450 to break even. That would put it below that point, right? Except, a lot of people don't realize this. Disney has other means of making revenue with their films. When the Fantastic Four came out, it had almost broken even before a single ticket was sold. That's entirely due to back-end deals with advertisers and licensing deals. You had the Fantastic Four in Zillow. You had them with Domino's Pizza or whatever those, Pizza Hut, whatever those chains are. Caesars, I forget exactly who it was. And those deals paid entirely for the film's budget before we even got to theaters. So, by using this, the marketing campaign was actually supplemented by these brand licensing deals. Disney has a very unique edge in that its characters are very marketable, and they will license them out to make a profit before a ticket is sold. And usually Disney makes a profit before you even get started. Disney has very few genuine flops because of this. And the flops it does have that makes them lose money, usually those are the characters that are hard to license. Yep. So, and even then, we're assuming at most 450. It was an underperformance. It wasn't the big hit Disney probably wanted. But I don't think they lost much money with this, and Disney is having a pretty good year all around with the rest of their slate, especially Zootopia 2, which Jesus, and Lilo and Stitch, which those two alone just made Disney in the black for the rest of the year. But yeah, no, people just aren't responding well to Captain America 4 because it wasn't a great movie. I didn't love Cap 4. I thought it was very all right, very mediocre. I was saying this before on I was saying it elsewhere that I feel like the problem with Cap 4 is that the internal conflict that Sam goes through just isn't strong enough. It's very much a repetition of what happened in Falcon Winter Soldier. I feel like the conflict doesn't tie in enough with the external conflict of the narrative. I feel like it's much more centered on Red Hulk, on Thunderbolt Ross's story. And even then, it's a lot of the same dialogue, a lot of the same scenes, but has some cool action scenes. The fight over Japan, fantastic. The fight with Red Hulk, fantastic. Cool stuff. But let's see what they say.
This uproar just proves, once again, that these people only show up online. They don't actually show up to buy any merchandise. They don't actually pay to watch things. If anything, they might pirate it. They don't go to the box office and support these movies.
I don't think many people go to the box office to support it because the box office is how much money it, brings in, but I digress.
So this movie was a catastrophic failure. Marvel's in the dumps, so naturally they're going back to the big names. They've already done with Robert Downey Jr., and now they're doing it with Chris Evans. But we already have a Captain America. They're only going to call him Steve Rogers. Yeah, but in everybody's mind, he's Captain America. In fact...
Well, here's the thing also with Steve Rogers coming back. He did pass over the mantle. In the comics, Sam and Steve were both Captain America at the same time. That's probably going to happen here. Most likely, Steve Rogers is not going to be the main character of the movie, but he will be major, and this is not a surprise to anyone who's been following along the production of Doomsday or Secret Wars. We kind of knew Cap was going to come back because they've been leaving it ambiguous this whole time. What happened to Cap? Where'd he go? What's going on? This, that, and the other. We knew he was coming back. That's not a shock. No one should be shocked by that. But again, The problem right here is they're using Cap coming back, which is a highly predictable thing, by the way. Highly predictable. As though it's some big gotcha at everyone else. And it just really isn't. There's not much there.
In fact, even Google search agrees. If you just search Steve Rogers, Captain America pops up. That's all I did. I just searched Steve Rogers, Captain America, comic book character.
Yeah, because Steve Rogers is Captain America. And guess what? If I type in Sam Wilson, I get a couple different things, actually, because he had multiple monikers. Still, point remains. I get Sam Wilson, I get Falcon, I get Captain America. They all come up because he's been in all those roles. Because Steve Rogers has only been Captain America, that's what's going to come up on Google. So, there you go. If I Google search how to make my cheese stretchier, it'll tell me to put glue in it. So, what are you going to do?
Now, when I search Sam Wilson,
There we go.
it just says Sam Wilson.
What a story, Mark.
And,
Hang on a
as
second
always, Wilson.
Hang on a second, hang on.
When I search Sam Wilson,
Hey, looks like he's a fan of Jester Bell over there. If the algorithm recommends Jester Bell for you, I guess you watch Jester Bell a lot. And yes, before you get started, we will be talking about Jester Bell today. It's going to come up, sorry to say. But where does Nerdrotic fit in? Oh, I see. Because of this. I see now. It's because he's making a big deal about this whole thing. The Steve Rogers Captain America thing. Okay, whatever. That's not much of a story. Let's, I'll bring this back up here. Before we get started on anything else, let's talk a little bit about the first grift. Okay, it's not as interesting as I thought it was going to be. Let's talk a little bit about Jon Del Arroz. Jon Del Arroz, everyone's most irritating human being, posted this today, or rather a few days ago, a couple days ago. And the internet has been roasting him ever since. Jon Del Arroz has posted saying, Green Lantern is supposed to be white. Posting a picture of Jon Stewart and comparing him to Hal Jordan. Comic book fan Jon Del Arroz doesn't seem to know the difference between Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. Now, what ends up happening, this is not the first time, though, that this has happened with him. It is not the first time he's posted this. You see, turns out, what a lot of people don't realize is he's been trying to do this for a while now. Jon Del Arroz has been trying to... Famed wife beater and child abuser Jon Del Arroz, who lost his kid in the divorce after his wife put a restraining order due to violent abuse. This is public record and not a secret, and you can't sue anyone over it because it's just the public facts of his divorce records that are public to everyone to look at. He decided to, both on his website Fandom Pulse and on his YouTube channel, Jon Del Arroz, to talk about Green Lantern a month ago. But he didn't get made fun of for it until he made the tweet that was shared on TikTok all over the place. Let's see what Jon Del Arroz has to say about lanterns, and if he acknowledges 1 month ago, before his big blow-up viral tweet, how dumb he must sound. Let's take a listen.
Well, the James Gunn DCU has been quite the experiment. It was really weird earlier this summer watching people talk about Superman and just how it's a good movie.
Super chat coming in.
At Hermanita Rules super chatted $1.99.
Yep.
Methinks JDA isn't a real comic book fan.
He really isn't. He's a grifter. He jumps on every single grift possible. He has very little knowledge of the stuff.
At the Misnick fan super chatted $10. Fun fact. My intro to DC as a little kid was the DCAU, so I thought Jon Stewart was the only Green Lantern and was really confused whenever a white guy showed up in the costume.
And there's the thing. I'm going to play for you right now something else I was going to save, but I might as well play it now. 1 second. Let me bring this up for you. All right. Neil Adams, Kevin Smith, Green Lantern. Here we go.
the cartoons for so long.
Comics think that
1 second, right here. This is an interview that Kevin Smith did with
totally
Neil
the
Adams, creator of
truth.
Jon Stewart.
Don't you think? Gee, I don't
Step up from
think-
shit brown.
I don't think
For
for
Christ's
some
sake.
At this point in the conversation, they're talking about like the colors that comic artists would use to illustrate people of color and how they were some really bad shades. But there's a point right here. It's very interesting. Shortly after that,
reason I don't think they'll be I think they've been insulted for the past 35 years. Now finally they'll go, yeah, that's the way it is. Okay, this is on you if something happens. Okay, that sounds good.
I'll
On
take
me.
it.
We got it. We're walking with that one. So anyway, second ending of the story. They decide they're going to make a Green Lantern story, movie.
Yeah.
They're going to take Gil Kane. They're going to jump to Jeff Johns. They're going to leave out Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams.
Mm-hmm.
God knows why.
there you go.
And they announce it. How
They're talking about the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern film from 2011. They're talking about right now, and Neil Adams is saying, they decided to make this new Green Lantern movie and draw more from Jeff Johns' run, and they announced it's Hal Jordan as Green Lantern, as played by Ryan Reynolds. And Super Chat coming in.
At Scorpion 104 super chatted $2. Gonna enjoy saying Jon Stewart's mid-sized sedan.
Yeah, here's hope. There we go.
Hal Jordan, Green Lantern. All the kids in America go, who the hell is Hal Jordan? Mm-hmm. Green Lantern is Jon Stewart.
Yeah. We've been watching the
somehow
cartoons for
people
so
in
long.
Comics think that that's the world.
Yeah.
And that 100,000 sales to 100,000 kids or people, and they don't even sell them to kids anymore, is going to beat millions of kids watching the Justice League on television.
Yeah.
Millions upon millions of kids. We all know Jon Stewart is Green Lantern. Who the hell is this Hal Jordan guy?
Why is Ryan Reynolds not a black guy?
I don't know. Why in the middle of the movie do they pass the hat, to Jon Stewart?
Did you
I don't know
watch
why
the
they
movie, eventually see it?
I watched it. It was sad. It wasn't human. It had no human qualities. It was. I didn't think that Ryan Reynolds was bad. I thought he was okay. The costume didn't bother me too much.
I thought
But
that
all
was
these
a big
animated
mistake.
boogie.
Yeah, so if the people who write Green Lantern acknowledge that, hey, people were very upset that Jon Stewart wasn't Green Lantern, maybe there might be something more to this, Jon Del Arroz. If the legendary Neil Adams, one of the most iconic comic creators of all time, acknowledges Jon Stewart is the more well-known Green Lantern than Hal Jordan, maybe, just maybe, you might be trying to start the wrong fight. But we saw what happened with Jon Del Arroz on Twitter. Let's see how he should have seen it coming a month ago when he first started trying this stupid grift, but no one noticed.
It's a good Superman movie. There wasn't any woke in it. That's not my words. I watched the movie. I was actually shamed into it by Tom Connors from Midnight's Edge, who I like a lot. But he did the, you haven't even watched the movie. How are you criticizing it? And so I did, and I went and saw it, and I was like, wow, this is a woke nightmare of a movie. Lex
I'm glad it gave you nightmares, Jon Del Arroz. I'm glad it did.
Luthor is a stand-in for Elon Musk, who actually rages about tweeting and things like that.
I'm sorry, what? You thought Lex Luthor was a stand-in for Elon Musk and not just the Lex Luthor from the comics? That's just Lex Luthor from the comics. John, what the fuck are you talking about? Jesus, John, what are you talking about?
It's really bizarre. And Superman just keeps getting love from these like brown immigrant Muslim type people the whole movie. And they're the only people who actually believe in him. Meanwhile, like all the white people kind of turn on him and attack him. And it's like weird. And then Superman's...
I guess Lois Lane and the city of Metropolis as a collective whole are not white. Interesting choice there. I would say there's only one scene where some people turn on Superman when there is a news story that his father wanted him to enslave the world comes in. But, what are you going to do? One scene, the whole movie, of course. I find it funny he doesn't mention the whole... Israeli-Palestine implications of the film. That's interesting so far. You kind of missed the obvious point of this political discussion about the film, and not and had to make up Elon Musk allegories apparently, because that's what Lex Luthor, the guy from the comics, is.
Trapped the entire movie in a prison, and Mr. Terrific, who's a shiny.
1 second.
At Tall King Movie Bubbles B6N super chatted $4.99. Satsuki from Kill la Kill is president.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
It
it's
would make
horrifying
as
to
much sense as other politician.
That'd be
Another
terrible,
thing,
too.
Can this guy shut the F up?
No, he can't. It's impossible for him to stop talking. He's ridiculous. That being said, though, yeah, he's just going off on weird tangents.
Shiny black superhero with Lois Lane's help rescues him, and that's the plot of the movie. It really is Mr. Terrific and his gang of diversity people rescue Superman should have been the title.
Mr. Terrific saved Superman in one scene, and Superman already broke free on his own. It's more just to get the portal out of that dimension out, basically. What are you talking about? Superman frees himself in the film with the help of Metamorpho, because he reaches out and appeals to Metamorpho's humanity. Like, what are you talking about, dude? Jon Del Arroz has never been the smartest grifter. He's always kind of gravitated towards any possible thing he can grab hold of. This right here, an example of why he's not that good at this job.
Love it. And not to mention, once you get into the politics of the whole Israeli-Palestinian conflict, which is the central B story of the movie, it's a huge, huge political nightmare that is just, it's a James Gunn mess. So, of course, none of it is coherent. And I guess that's why a lot of people thought it wasn't political, right?
None of it's coherent. Interesting. Yet you identify what it was pretty early on. It's not that difficult. And everyone else figured out what it meant pretty quickly. They either thought it was about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, or they thought it was about the Russian-Ukrainian conflict. But it's not particularly challenging. It's not difficult to follow. A child can figure out what they're talking about. It's not difficult. It's pretty basic, actually. It's not complicated, dude. Oh, my goodness.
Then you get into Peacemaker. And Peacemaker has the weird gay orgy with drug fueled to open up the...
Actually, it's the weird bisexual orgy. There were multiple different types of people in there. Big difference there. If it was just all men, that'd be a very different type of orgy, but I digress.
Series, it's just this woke nightmare as well. Everybody kind of turned off of that. And it's like, okay, are you still all in on the James...
He didn't watch past the first episode of Peacemaker, did he? He can't name a single thing other than the sex scene that's like off camera, like very briefly in the show for like 3 minutes in the first episode, and then gets brought up as a joke later on. He didn't watch past that episode, did he? He didn't get to the part where he goes to the other dimension that's just not when Nazis take over America, does he? I feel that would be a bit more of a point of discussion. By the way, people like Peacemaker quite a bit. It's just the last episode people were kind of iffy on. And that's not because necessarily of anything political, but more because it feels like James Gunn was trying to set up Man of Tomorrow as opposed to complete the story of Peacemaker. It felt very much like it deviated off track too much from the storyline they were establishing and following. I feel like what I thought was going to happen was I thought they were going to bring in they were going to complete the story with with Earth X, basically, with the Nazi world. But they kind of like stopped that. They got out of there and then they came back up again. It was interesting. I don't know. I thought that was a little mixed, but the whole season I thought was really good. I thought it was a really interesting season. I thought there was some really good stuff. I love the whole Eagly subplot. That was kind of goofy. I love what they were establishing Checkmate. I even like where it ends, though I do worry we're going to get like a Heroes in Crisis situation. I hope not, but, I digress. Anyway, so was the obsession with John Cena getting action on screen? I feel like John Cena can probably... I was reading somewhere that John Cena had to ask a lot of the crew how to do drugs effectively on screen, because apparently he's never done anything like that. So he had to talk to people who were like the stoners on set how to act stoned, which I think is just so funny. I think it's like such an endearing quality about John Cena. I like John Cena. I like him a lot. He's pretty cool. I think it's interesting how he retired recently and how Mike Foley dropped out of WWE. I think it's very interesting how they both happen to leave around the same time as WWE keeps diving into like controversy about politics. But I digress. Yeah. Hey, how do I do drug? How do I do the drug? Yeah, apparently it's complete. Because James Gunn was talking about it, because he likes working with Cena, because Cena would just, James Gunn will just say, "Oh, do this," and he's like, "Okay, I'll do that," but like he doesn't know how to act like stoned. Anyway,
James Gunn universe. Well, this is a pretty mask off moment from James Gunn today. Pretty mask off, as Lantern's creator Chris Mundy reveals the show is about Jon Stewart, the Black Green Lantern, replacing Hal Jordan. Now, this is being done in the comics as well.
Is being done? Buddy, did you ever see the DCAU, the Justice League cartoon, where there is no Hal Jordan, there is just Jon Stewart? Did I miss that part of the DC anime? Did I miss that part? Did I miss that part? Did you miss that part of the most iconic, most widely watched animated adaptation of the Justice League? Interesting.
I actually showed a thing this morning on X that this is an advertisement.
By the way, only idiots call Twitter X. Just saying it right now. It's Twitter. It's not X.
From a DC comic that if you look at it, they have a female black Green Lantern replacing the Green Lantern. She's like got the one ring.
Absolute Green Lantern, huh? In the absolute line there, John, you didn't tell me, John, what is the absolute line of DC Comics? Actually, it's funny because Jessica Cruz, she was created by Ethan Van Sciver, partially anyway, who is part of the Comicsgate movement that Jon Del Arroz aligned himself with. Also, Absolute DC is an alternate universe. It's not the mainline Green Lantern comic, buddy. In that storyline, I don't think anyone is Jessica Cruz. There we go. I don't think anyone is. I haven't kept up with the Absolute Green Lantern comic in the last few issues, but I don't recall them having really a firm grasp on who the Green Lantern is at all in that storyline as of yet.
Ring too. It's very weird how these people. I guess she's Sauron for real, but she's a black lady doing the same thing. This is what they're doing across media.
John, you don't know what Absolute Green Lantern is, you fucking clown. It's an alternate reality. Everything's different. Bruce Wayne doesn't have money in that universe. Superman Krypton blows up much later in Superman's life in that universe. Wonder Woman was raised in the bowels of hell in that universe. It's also Green Lantern is the one legacy character that you can have multiple different Green Lanterns at the same time and it's fine. The Joker's a giant colossal monster in that continuity. It's crazy. You can have thousands of Green Lanterns at the same time. There are multiple human Green Lanterns simultaneously.
At GamerNinja24 super chatted $5. Is it me, or are grifters running out of things to get mad at?
It's not you, but it's also not totally true either. They will always find something to be mad about because they're always looking for the next thing. Many grifters will always latch on to the next grift because that's how they make their money. Some have shifted over into political grifting, and that's where they kind of screw themselves over because they do not actually... Because here's the thing. Even though your political grifters are, very awful, they have to have a baseline of knowledge about politics. These guys are good at echoing. They're not good at coming up with actual statements about reality. And it's a lot harder to grift about real political issues than it is about movies. Because with real stuff, people live in reality. The price of eggs don't go down, you're going to notice it in the grocery store. You can't lie about that too much. And unless you're like the top dog, you're not going to convince anyone you're right. With politics, it's usually the central figures are the ones who push the agenda the most, the furthest, the most trusted figures. Everyone else is echoing. With movies, though, you can sound like a comic book expert. You can sound like you're knowledgeable about this topic, but I digress. Yeah, it's the Green Lantern Corps. It's a big group of people. Anyway, there's a squirrel, Kilowog. You know, fucking love Kilowog.
At Jonathan
He's not squirrel, though.
Frostathan super chatted $2. JDR when he sees the Mogo in Volk.
Oh God, can you imagine? Like, can you imagine? Oh, yeah, the pink lanterns freak him up. Yeah, exactly. Anyway, so. Yeah, this is not really... what's the exact quote from Chris Mundy? Let's take a look at that exact quote. I'm going to read it right here, and then I'm just going to have Jon Del Arroz mangles it. Here we go. So... Okay, it's about a month ago, so this might be it right here. Okay, so the exact quote is... I'm trying to find the exact quote he's talking about here. He's got a guy you meet and you don't know what he's Jon has a quiet authority about him, and I think it's important to the dynamic of the story we're telling. They're not really saying he's replacing him. I don't think the word replace is in this quote, is it? Nope, no replace. What's happened here? There, that was weird. Okay, that was strange. My screen just went out. That was weird. But yeah, I don't see anything about replacing in the quote. Let's see the exact phrase.
It's wild. Critical race theory is still here. It's still going on. I know a lot of people are reporting woke is dead, etc. This is not a good thing, and it's pretty ugly. So let's get into this news. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Join us as we talk about all things.
Okay, interview with Men's Health. That's the interview. So Chris Mundy, Men's Health, Jon Stewart. Let's take a look. Here you go. Let's get the source up first. So Men's Health, go away. Lantern's creator Chris Mundy on why Aaron Pierre was the hero we needed. Inside Aaron. Right. Let's take a look real quick. So, Stewart's next Marine Sniper. Radius for the best version of yourself. Together, this version of Hal and John Fence on the Buddy Cop show wrapped inside a superhero story. Hal's an old school. So we got here. Okay. So we got here. John is an old school guy. He shows up. New generation. I don't see anything here about replacing, though. Let's take a look. Let's look for the word replace. There you go. Here we go. Essential part of John and Hal's comic lore includes that they butt heads when they first meet. They had different philosophies, different ways of doing things. That part of the story we want to tell. And here's his answer. Our show is a lot of ways about replacement. When should someone step aside, and when is it time for the next person to take the reins? That push and pull between these two characters is really important. So much of the power that John has is by not taking the bait. Understand that you lose your power if you're yelling and screaming. That's what we're trying to convey. He knows that he belongs, so he doesn't have to overcompensate. There's a real balance there that's innately inside of Aaron. He's big, he's intimidating presence physically, but there's a softness to him. There's thoughtfulness there. You can't teach that. So, in this context, the quote's about finding the balance between the old mentor and the new guy, basically.
At Otto Johnny super chatted $2. What's really ugly is his rhetoric.
Deeply ugly. Would you have any debates with genuine right-wingers like Harmon Smith? On the other hand, he'd probably be way more insufferable than the Templar. I'm not going to do many debates probably for a while. I'll do discussions, but not debates. That was completely fruitless in my opinion. The Templar debate was a complete waste of time, and I'm not really looking forward to another one of those, because that was just completely worthless. All it did was just platform his hateful rhetoric and didn't actually advance anything. So I don't think that was a useful application of time. That being said, discussions on topics like roundtable discussions, yes, we'll be getting more of those, but not a true debate. Especially not with someone like Templar. Anyway, back to this.
In the pop culture, especially when it comes to sci-fi, I'm a big, long-time, old-school Green Lantern fan. And I run this Fandom Pulse Substack with other contributors as well, where we talk about
Okay, get to the point, dude.
to connect direct
Get
on
to the
YouTube
point.
and
Stop
entertainment
wasting
news.
time.
Get on this site today. It's in the description below. You can give a paid membership. We are supported by paid members like you.
Stop wasting
Chips as
time.
well.
Get to the actual
All
quote,
right,
dude.
so Chris Mundy, the creator and showrunner for the upcoming DC Universe show Lanterns, which stars Aaron Pierre as Jon Stewart and Kyle
4
Chandler
minutes
as
into
Hal
a
Jordan,
8-minute video.
revealed the show is about Stewart replacing Hal Jordan.
No,
In an interview with
that's not what he said. He said the show is about replacement, the tug and pull back and forth from the old mentor and new.
Men's Health Monday provided some significant details about the show, was asked if the show
we go.
would stay true to the relationship between the characters that was fleshed out in comics. They had different philosophies, different ways of doing things. Is that part of the story you want to tell? They never just go with the comics. They don't even read the comics. They've said all this stuff. Our show is a lot of ways about replacement. Yes, white replacement, guys. When should someone step aside? When is it time for the next person to take in the reins? So the push and pull between those two characters is really important. So much of the power that Jon has, the Black Power, is by not taking.
He's just really trying his best to spread his bigotries into the statement. Again, let's take a listen to what he has to say.
They always say
these words.
this. They're like, oh, the black people just got to not take the bait. The replacement's a good thing. White people shouldn't complain about that. In fact,
He's really trying to take as much as he can out of this stupidity. I feel like the people who got mad at the whole Green Lantern is white thing that Jon Del Arroz put out, they should really take a look at how stupid he is here. He's taking a quote where it's about a new guy replacing the old veteran. This has nothing to do with Hal Jordan being white and Jon Stewart being black. After all, Guy Gardner is still going to be a Green Lantern no matter what happens here. You can have multiple Green Lanterns at the same time. There have been to date at least 5 or 6 human Green Lanterns in the mainline comics. I think maybe more like 7, actually. This is completely making up a straw man argument. But let's hear the rest of what he has to say to really tear into him.
you're racist if you notice it. It's such gaslighting. It's out of control.
There is
Understanding
no
that you lose your
gaslighting,
power, and if you're yelling and screaming, that's that's where we're trying to convey that he knows he belongs. He doesn't have to overcompensate. There's a real balance that's just innately the side of Aaron. He's big. He's an intimidating presence just physically, but there's a softness to him too. Oh my gosh, this is so cringy. There's thoughtfulness. You can't teach that. He says, I
think it's cringy you're trying to extrapolate meaning about great replacement theory from a statement about a young guy taking the reins of an older veteran. You think that Top Gun Maverick was about replacement too? Because it is kind of about that same theme. Jon Del Arroz gives very, very overcompensating kind of energy because he has nothing to work with here. He's just making shit up. That's why he pushes to the second half of this video. Because by the time you finish watching it, you've already watched most of it, so he's got your money.
our characters are true to the comics, even though they're not, but we're putting them in a new story.
Well, how are they not, John? How are they not? Explain to me how they're not true to the comics. You say they're not true to the comics. Explain that. How's it not true? How's it inaccurate to the comics? Thank you for being a member for 2 months there, Uminata Rules. Every time one of these assholes ramble, my inner Sir Integra yells, "Get to the fucking point!" Yeah, no, 100%. Well, they're rambling to waste your time. That's what it ultimately is. They actually have no point. But if they hide that by rambling and rambling and rambling, you yourself won't pick up on the fact they have nothing of value to actually contribute to the conversation. That's the reality of it. They have nothing to say, but by pretending they do have something to say, they can hide the fact they have nothing to say. Also, John, you get early access to the Lantern show that's incomplete and not done with all the effects yet. Hey, maybe send me that the screener you got to tell you that the show's inaccurate or the show is not true to the comics. Please, I'd love to see what source you have for your bullshit this time.
The actors didn't have to dig for a specific period in the comic books. It's more about understand. They didn't have to read the comic books. I'll translate for you. It's more about...
No, that's not what he said. One thing you can't deny about James Gunn is that he is very close to what comics he's adapting with his whole universe. We're going to get to this when we get to the Supergirl trailer very soon. The comic is basically the Tom King Woman of Tomorrow comic for Supergirl. Again, Jon Del Arroz has to make up a boogeyman to get angry about it. That's what he has to do.
About understanding who John is and understanding who Hal is. From that What to Expect to show, he says it takes place in a couple different time periods, so the challenge was for characters to be consistent at their core, as much as a buddy cop show as a superhero show. Well, how come they don't just do superhero shows and superhero movies? They always have to do something. Have you noticed this? There's two things. There's always the critical race replacement stuff that they do with everything, right?
John, did you hear about this movie that came out this year? Actually, two movies that came out this year that were basically superhero movies. It was called Superman. You know, you might have heard of it. It was undeniably a superhero movie. And you complained about it. They never do superhero movies except for, you know, Superman and Fantastic Four and Captain America 4. And, you know, Thunderbolts was kind of an anti-hero thing, but that was like superheroes too, right? And Invincible also, I guess, counts as that too. And so does The Boys. And, you know, it's funny when you stop to think about how many shows do in fact have multiple genres. How kind of silly your whole argument sounds. I don't know. Call me crazy.
And if you look at this little Justice Gang or whatever, the Guy Gardner Green Lantern was a mockery of white men, right? The Hispanic girl was great.
That's just what Guy Gardner is like in the comics. Did you read the comics, John? I don't think you did, because Guy Gardner is famous for getting like out gambited by Batman. Like Batman was able to take the ring off his finger, you know? He's the punching bag of comics of the Green Lanterns. He's not a mockery of men. He's true to the character in the comics. Also, the Hispanic woman, you mean Hawkgirl?
Great, and then the black guy was the most perfect thing in the world. That was the whole purpose of them, right?
No. Their purpose was that they were inspired by Superman's example, that they were flawed people who were not willing to take action on their own sake until Superman acted around them. Oh, yep, good point. Thank you.
At Olivia_Williams_purple_fairy super chatted $1.44. Daredevil Born Again 2.
Daredevil Born Again 2 as well, exactly. Yeah, a lot of superhero stories came out this year, John. It's weird you didn't watch them, considering we all did. Anyway.
They do it. Literally, the pattern is here, guys. If you don't notice it, I don't know how to help at this point, but it's there.
The problem is, John, that you don't really know what the fuck you're talking about. That's the big issue, isn't it?
So this is what they're doing, and it's never just a superhero show. It's like, they do this with Star Trek, too, and I'm a huge Star Trek fan, if you don't know. But it's like, hey, we're going to make a Star Trek, but it's a live-action comedy like The Office. Well, why don't you just make Star Trek? Like, we already have The Office.
They did make Star Trek. What do you think? Discovery, Picard, Strange New World? Are you oblivious to all this? You know, it's like you say you're a fan, but you're ignoring. And also, Lower Decks, which is not live action, by the way. Fantastic series. Just pointing out there.
At Otto Johnny super chatted $5. If anything that comes out of the DCU, I want to see the DCU Batman punch and knockout guy rolling on the floor laughing.
I would love that, please. Anyway, Jon Del Arroz embarrassed himself with this. Didn't really make much of a point. And no one bought it. Let me see if I can find... because people were clowning on him. Here we go. This is a go away, go away, go away, go away. Right here. I'm just gonna play it for you.
At Ermanita Rules super chatted $4.99. I can only imagine what JDA thought of the Absolute Batman Annual.
Oh, I can imagine. Anyway, let me play this whole thing right here for you.
Race swap disaster. John, shut the fuck up. You sound like an idiot. You don't sound like you are an idiot for posting something like this. And I know I have my times where I'm being satirical and things like that. But you could tell that this man meant everything he said because of the stuff he said about.
Yep.
At Stingertopia3169 super chatted $5. Either he's the dumbest person alive, who's blind, deaf, and unwilling. Or he's just openly bold-faced lying about easily available facts.
Exactly true.
About Supergirl the other day. And I have my times of being satirical. The other day I posted a video about how nobody knows Lobo, when obviously that's not true. I have something in there having a disclaimer, but you mean what you say. Just like I'm meaning what I say. And I don't know how much this means, but I am very glad Starscream is exposing you for the person that you are. And I've been told that you've been exposed for the type of person you are. I'm just glad that he's amplifying it. Because everything you're saying right now sounds like something Nerdrotic would say. And we all know Nerdrotic is the worst place to get information ever. You're getting flamed online. Like, you have people in your comment section saying the worst things possible of how you should have just been quiet.
Yep.
I don't condone saying this.
I do.
But I understand where this person is coming from. And the fact that you said, what does Falcon have to do with this, shows exactly what kind of person you are. And I'm not about to say it on this app, but everybody that is watching this video, they understand what I'm insinuating. You're an idiot, among other things. So yeah, like I said, I'm very glad you're getting grilled online. This is what coming together as a comic book community means. Getting the people that don't know what they're talking about out. Oh no.
Yep. Jon Del Arroz humiliated himself online, and justifiably. The entirety of the internet came together to say, go fuck yourself, John.
At 000 Agent 88 super chatted $2. Does TikTok really flag the word condom?
Apparently so, yeah. TikTok has a really bad censorship system, not gonna lie. But again, that's the reality of it all. The entirety of the internet saw Jon Del Arroz's grift and called him out on it. Called him a tourist because that's all he is. A tourist.
At Ermanita Rules super chatted $1.99. This man cooked.
Yeah,
Hard.
he
Chef's
cooked.
kiss.
He cooked well. Oh my goodness. But now we come to the next stage of the game. Now we come to Supergirl. Now, before we get started, I want to look at a good trailer for Supergirl. Now, if you're playing at home for the game, here's what you gotta do. So, for the next several minutes, take a drink whenever you hear someone compare the trailer to Guardians of the Galaxy for Supergirl. So just diving into Supergirl right here. Now, Troy Oboyo, who I have streamed with in the past, at least on the one charity stream, cool guy. Like this guy. He's a really cool guy. He's very intelligent. He knows what he's talking about. I'm establishing this as a baseline for a good reaction to the Supergirl movie trailer. This is a good reaction. Just a heads up, we're not making fun of Troy Oboyo here. Quite the opposite. Here's an example of what a good reaction is. So we have a baseline to compare to how superficial so many of the other reactions are. Now I'm going to just amp this up a bit. I'm going to just make this a little faster so we can get through this a little quicker, because I'm not here to make fun of him, so I just want to get through it a little quicker. Let's do it.
The trailer for Supergirl just dropped, and it looks like a lot of fun. Millie Alcock looks great as Kara. I love the little snippet we got of her in Superman, and I can already tell she's going to be fantastic here. The movie is going to be a direct adaptation of Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, the graphic novel written by Tom King with art by Bill Sevely from 2021. The movie even had the same title until pretty recently. Superhero movies aren't really known for doing direct adaptations like this. With the exception of something like Watchmen or Invincible, comic book movies tend to be more in the business of taking inspiration as opposed to adapting a specific story one-to-one. And I wonder if Supergirl will take those same kinds of liberties or open the door for more direct...
There we go. Super chat coming in.
At Angels Art and Gaming super chatted $5. Every time I see a fandom tourist, I think of that one smiling Friends guy. You a tourist? You a tourist?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Love this right here.
comic adaptations in the future. The original graphic novel is incredible, so if this movie is anything like that, I think we're in for a good time. And I think that's all the news that happened this week. Yep, that's all I can think of. No other terrifying, earth-shattering events, and certainly nothing that would make me scared for the future of the entertainment industry as a whole.
Nope, none.
That was weird. What was that? Oh, hey, look, it's Lobo. Hell yeah, I love that guy. Millie specifically seems like so cool.
So
she seems so,
she
I don't know, she's
goes
capturing
into
this
about-
specific
about,
era of
like,
Supergirl, the sort of like, you know, the Tom
Supergirl.
King, Woman of Tomorrow, like sad, drunk energy of her that I really like. That's not all that the character is by any means. I see people think that like Supergirl was like a terrible character before the Tom King book, which is not true. And say what you will about Tom King being kind of like the cornerstone of all comic creators in the movies right now. I'm not a fan of that personally. But regardless, I think that like if you want to really differentiate not just Superman and Supergirl as characters, but also this version of Supergirl from say like Melissa Benoist Supergirl or something like that, you know, like this is a really smart and interesting way to do it. You know, I see a lot of people saying that like Supergirl should never be like this. This is nothing like Supergirl. It's so out of character for her, and that she should be bright and hopeful and more like the CW Melissa Benoist version. And I really like that version of the character a lot. I really like Melissa Benoist. She's great in that role. The show was whatever, but I really like her. And I think there's two sides to it, right? Because on one hand, that's how she is in this book. That's what they're adapting. That's what the storyline is. The character's not like that for the entire book.
Now, again, I want to point out this right now. So what he's doing right here, it's very important that we're going to see later on, a lot of people do not do. He's talking about the comic Supergirl is going to be inspired by. The Tom King Woman of Tomorrow comic. By drawing that comparison, what Troy O'Boyle's doing is he's giving an establishment. Here's the source material. Here's what the comic's like. Here's what we're lifting from the comic to this film. Here is the flow of what we're dealing with. And that right there is very important, because what that does is it gives us an establishment of what is going on with the character, how they're going to take the character in interesting directions, and what they're going to do with said character in the movie. It gives us a comparison to other adaptations of Supergirl, specifically the CW Supergirl. Not the Christopher Reeve era Supergirl so much, but there's also very little to talk about with that one. The Christopher Reeve Supergirl movie is pretty bad, actually. I'm not sure if you've seen it. It's a hard watch. It's a very tough thing to sit through, that movie. Anyway, back to this.
Is really kind of just like the first issue, but it's still a big part of what that story's doing. The entire point of the book is her dealing with her trauma and dealing with her kind of like PTSD over, you know, the death of her entire planet, and the way she copes with that. And the way she copes with that in the story is getting drunk, is partying, is sort of like repressing that. And I think that's it's part of what makes this book so good and what's so interesting about her. But that's also not to say that's the only time she's ever been interesting in her entire history. The Tom King, you know, the Woman of Tomorrow version of Wonder Woman. I said Wonder Woman. Tom King, Wonder Woman. Don't, we're not going there. Keep Tom King away from Wonder Woman, please. The Tom King version of Supergirl with Woman of Tomorrow. It is a bit of a departure from how the character has been, you know, for the most part in her history. And some people like to say that she was boring and uninteresting before this comic came out. This is the book that made her good. And I don't really think that that's fair, right? Like, I think it's kind of like unrealistic to say that the first time her stories have ever been good was 4 years ago. Like, come on. And so I think there are a lot of people who are like,
I also find it funny because I was just rereading the Woman of Tomorrow comic after the trailer came out to get refresh my memory on it. All those shots he's using from the first issue of the comic run. So he's not spoiling anything from the comic beyond the early initial stuff of that first issue. I think it's real, and even then, not even the end of the first issue, the early parts, which is, you know, pretty good. I like that. It's good stuff. I like that comic in general. I know people want me to cover Tom King at some point, and I will. I probably will, especially as we get closer to the Supergirl movie. But you know, still. Anyway, I feel like the Tom King Wonder Woman run is not good. I don't like it personally. I haven't liked it in a bit, but some people really like it. That's fine for them. I'm not one of them. Anyway, back to this.
Nothing like Supergirl, not my Supergirl, blah, blah, and they're really upset about this. The gotcha is always, oh, you didn't read the comic. Oh, this is the comic. You're showing me you don't read this comic. And like, yeah, you get them. That's so true. But also, they didn't like Melissa Benoist either when that was happening. Like, that show was considered too woke. Like, where was the support for that show then, you know? And I think if this version of Supergirl was more like that, where she was basically, not to discredit that version of Kara, because that was also a very good version of Kara, she was much more similar to Superman. I think more people would be like, oh, she's boring, she's Mary Sue, this sucks. And it's just like, damn, there's no fucking winning here, right? So I'm not really putting like a ton of like weight to that kind of argument and that kind of, that's sort of the narrative that's been going around lately. Because people were saying the same thing about Tasha Kaya as Supergirl in The Flash. And speaking of Krypton, we see, I don't want to get too much into the events of the book, but like, we see a little snippet of that, which I think this will be very interesting to see how we take the revelations from, you know, the Superman movie with, you know, the elves and they're kind of maybe not being what we thought they were. And I wonder how much that applies to all of Krypton, if that applies to just the elves or
I want to put this out too with Troy. I'm not going to play the whole video. If I can watch Troy's reaction, what he's doing is being thoughtful. How does the adaptation link with audience expectation? How is this similar to previous versions of Supergirl? How is this going to connect with the rest of the DCU as we know it right now? What he's doing is thoughtful analysis. It's not super deep analysis, but all we have is the trailer. You can't get that deep with a trailer, but you can speculate in ways that are informed, intriguing, and offering perspective that's useful. Right now, the elves, I love that. The elves, not the elves. Man, AI subtitles suck. What he's doing is offering basic but meaningful analysis. And that's already more than we're going to get from any of the people we're going to see moving forward. Just want to point it out. Oh, and all the tea spilled in this cup. Great. It's gonna be like Turkish coffee, isn't it? I think all of it leaked out. Yep, those are tea leaves on my molars. Okay, so that being said, well, we got our this is the meal. This is a meal right here. Troy O'Boyle's offering us food. But we're not here for food. We're here for hors d'oeuvres. We're here for wretched, disgusting, terrible stuff. And where else to start more than someone we haven't really watched quite frequently? Oh, super chat coming in.
At Mantis1515 super chatted $2.66. My first time seeing Supergirl was on Smallville.
Yep, that's fair. That's fair. Supergirl was Smallville was an interesting show. I feel like Smallville's something I want to revisit at some point too. That's a show that's interesting and unusual.
The first.
Here we go. We're gonna take a look at this human thumb. Heels versus Babyface. Someone we have kind of neglected on this channel up until now because he's just known as the guy who cried about pronouns in Starfield. And not a critic with opinions and perspectives, and I feel that's unfair. I feel we need to hear what he has to say outside of the pronoun rant. I'm sure he's an insightful gentleman with a lot of perspectives, with meaningful perspectives on media and I'm sure he's intelligent. Absolutely sure of it. Okay, let's take a listen.
Full trailer for Supergirl just dropped, and I haven't watched it yet. So let's watch it together, shall we, and see what we think.
Okay, let's, here we go. Super chat come in.
At Angels Art and Gaming super chatted $5. Speaking of trailers, did you see that Seth Rogen Animal Farm trailer?
Oh, Jesus Christ,
oh
yeah.
Boy. Ooh, buoy. I think that's one of the few trailers you can analyze.
It's a disaster. I'm stunned how bad that is.
At Olivia_Williams_purple_fairy super chatted $3.61. I can't watch Smallville anymore because of the actress who played Chloe.
Yeah, that would get in the way. Yeah, that would be a bit of a factor, I imagine. The J.D. O'Toole looking blow. Oh, God. That's terrible. That's terrible. All right. Anyway, I don't want to make fun of anyone for their appearance, but I do want to say that he is very easy to make fun of because he makes fun of other people so much. So I have no problem with... I don't know. I don't want to make fun of anyone's...
At Cassie Hosh 1677 super chatted 37 cents. Funking pronouns.
Exactly. He's the pronouns guy. How do you mess up Animal Farm? Well, you mess it up by making it not about Animal Farm. By making it like over the hedge with like with cute animals in it. Pretty bad. Anyway, back to this.
Hi everyone, it's Az here from Heel vs. Babyface. I got my Princess Leia.
Oh, so his name is Az, and he's from the channel Heels vs. Babyface. So that's an odd way of just. I always find it funny when it's like, oh no, I'm just a guy from a channel and I'm the sole employee of it. It's like, no, you're the channel. I don't know.
Buns ready for the old headphones. But yesterday we had a 15-second teaser, which is about 10 seconds actually, for today's Supergirl trailer, and also the first like poster dropped.
Okay.
I'm going to be completely honest with you. I wasn't particularly impressed with the byline of truth, justice, whatever. Just comes across so nihilistic and...
So hang on. Here's the thing I understand with these guys and Superman. They were so angry about Superman and so upset with Superman. The argument wasn't sincere enough. And now you're taking a look at a character who is not Superman, who is directly a foil to Superman. That's designed to be irreverent. That's designed to present a character who is different from Superman. If it was exactly the same as Superman, you'd be going, well, what's the point of this character? Why is it just Superman but a girl? You know, it's like you can't win. There's no way you can do it where you're not going to find something to complain about. So why not lean into the difference? Why not lean into the departure? That's my perspective anyway. It is nihilistic, but that's because the character is more nihilistic, or at least more pessimistic, than Superman is in this continuity. I mean, after all, better to say truth, justice, whatever, than saying, well, not that, throughout multiple movies like you get with Henry Cavill Superman, but I digress.
Well, just another person that hates superheroes doing a superhero movie, you know, crazy, hey? So,
well, who hates superheroes in this lineup? By the way, I guarantee that the vast majority of these critics will not mention the director of the film, whose name eludes me, but he did I, Tonya, he did Cruella. The director is Craig Gillespie. Craig Gillespie. Yep. So Craig Gillespie is the director. I would be shocked if we hear his name 5 times in all these reactions. Guarantee it. They're going to mention James Gunn because he's probably more obvious, and they may mention the writer of the film, who is Ana Noguera, because she is a woman. In fact, I know for a fact with the Critical Drinker video, he only mentions James Gunn extensively, and Ana, specifically Ana Noguera, has very few, if any, credits to her name of produced screenplays. What Critical Drinker does not seem to appreciate is, of course, that most screenwriters in Hollywood write spec scripts before getting hired for jobs. These spec scripts are rarely produced and will often be proof of concept that they can write a script before a big studio takes them on for different projects. Of course, if Critical Drinker understood this aspect of Hollywood, he'd have a lot less to talk about in his various videos, so I digress.
The trailer's dropped. I have no idea what to expect, but I'm going to make a couple of predictions, right? It's going to be full of Guardians of the Galaxy-esque.
Take your first drink. It's Guardians of the Galaxy references. It's the Guardians of the Galaxy-esque humor, Guardians of the Galaxy-esque music cues. If you're playing at home, please take small sips. You may die if you take big ones.
Humor. I think the trailer's going to look very much like a Guardians movie because, well, pretty much that's all James has got in his rotation system, as we've seen.
And he's not the director or writer of this film. He is the Kevin Feige of the film. He is the distant figure.
He's recycling Star-Lord's Walkman for Supergirl in this. Goodness gracious me.
Okay, whatever. Let's just keep going.
I also expect there to be plenty of cool music tracks. And I also...
Like every trailer ever has had music drops. Like every trailer has music drops. They all do. That's a reoccurring thing in a lot of trailers.
At Angels Art and Gaming Super Chatted $2.
Yes.
I'm going to drink with water. Stay hydrated.
Good. Good. Smart. Do that. Don't drink with alcohol.
At Otto Johnny Super
killed.
Chatted $5. Ana Noguera must be good, right? 'Cause she was chosen to write the DCU Wonder Woman and Teen Titans movies?
She's got to be impressing someone at in the DC circle. Because she's been giving a lot of projects after Supergirl, which means she must be doing something really right. I think so anyway. Back to this.
So expect that Supergirl, throughout the course of the whole trailer, is going to look like a bulldog licking piss off a thistle with a, oh my god, Z, I just don't care, Z type of attitude. So let's now...
That is the weirdest thing I have seen. Oh, don't... Oh my god, I don't care. That's like an old stereotype. That's like an old stereotype. In fairness, though, there is a really good game that James Gunn was involved with, where the main character does have that, oh my god, I don't care kind of mindset. It's called oh, what's his name? Lollipop. Oh, what's the game? It's Chainsaw Lollipop. Is that it? Lollipop Chainsaw? What was it? Oh. Was it Lollipop Chainsaw? Is that it? Yeah, Lollipop Chainsaw. There we go. There we go. Thank you. Thank you, computer. Yeah, Lollipop Chainsaw is fantastic. That's a fun game. And it's a great example of the fact that these styles of storytelling work when it works. You know, when it works, it works. When it doesn't, it doesn't. That's all right to me. But, you know, what are you going to do? Back to this.
Oh, actually have a look-see. If I was a Magic 8-Ball, I would say that the signs were pointing to pretty good on that one. So here we go. Oh, isn't crypto such a scam? Oh, managed to catch it on a black screen. So far, 9 seconds in, I seem to be spot on. Music track looks like Guardians of the Galaxy.
Let's get ahead so we're not getting. I don't want to get copyright struck for this. So I'm going to just move ahead to the bits where it's not. Let's skip ahead a little bit here. There's subtitles.
An absolutely god-awful film. But yeah, nice. That's a really good reflection there.
Yes, dogs tend to pee, actually.
Oh, it's Blondie. Oh, okay, wow. James Gunn relying on that old music trope and the copy.
Again, James Gunn's not the director of the film, though, buddy. It's okay. I don't want to play the whole trailer here because I don't want to get like copyright struck for having Blondie playing. But I
am so shocked. Look at my shocked face. Do love me a bit of Blondie, though, gotta say.
Okay, so he's complaining with the music choices, but then likes Blondie. I'm like, Blondie's good. Blondie's fine. Why are you complaining? Like, oh, they have music here. There you go. I want to skip around here.
A very high bar to clear.
Now watch, he completely ignores Craig Gillespie's name and is going to keep talking about James Gunn as though it's James Gunn's movie. Let's keep watching and find out.
I didn't know any of you were still alive. What was it like to lose?
Her Tom didn't die in a day. The gods are not that.
Joking now. Have I just got the wrong trailer? And this is Star Lady, and I've somehow in the past couple of hours just bounced to an alternative universe. Anyway. Let's carry on. Oh, look.
I guess Az has not read Women of Tomorrow, the comic that this trailer is clearly referencing. The only difference between the comic is that the comic has more of a sci-fi fantasy vibe to it, more swords and planetary romance than the more overt sci-fi we're getting here. But I digress. It's fine, you know?
It's lots of lasers.
Those are laser pointers from guns. That's typically how a lot of these work.
Okay, this does not look like this is gonna end well. For you guys.
Yeah, and that's from the comics, just about, you know.
Now, let's be honest. Who didn't predict that line when she said this is not going to end well? Who?
That's a line taken roughly from the comics. I just was rereading the comic before this stream, so I can tell you that's not a line that anyone other than Tom King wrote. I wonder if Az is going to blame CIA member Tom King for the writing of this movie at all. Probably not. Yeah, no, I mean, David Bowie's been in songs for trailers. Elton John was in the trailer famously for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Great trailer, terrible movie. Really great implications of a trailer, not the movie itself, but...
Who didn't predict the next bit? Anybody? Anybody did not predict that she was going to say for you guys?
As say something of meaning and value. Again, I'm thinking back with the Troy Oboyo video. You know, Troy Oboyo provided analysis. He provided an actual perspective. And this right here is just a boring bit by bit by bit. Oh, I can't believe Supergirl said that line. Oh, I can't believe we're getting the music cues from Blondie all of a sudden. It's like boring. I can see why I don't talk about this guy too much. He's just basic. He's get to his final summation thoughts here, because I feel like this is getting a little exhausting to watch bit by bit.
Pretend. And there's no use pretending. You just hate everything. You just hate. No, it's called having fucking standards. That's what it's called. If you want
standards, huh? Okay, well, everything then.
At Wyatt Ahmedin 5747 super chatted $5. I'm new to Tom King and his work. Really enjoyed Supergirl and currently enjoying Helen of Windhorn. Why is he controversial to so many?
Tom King's history is very controversial, and that colors a lot of people's perspectives of him. He used to work with the CIA. That's the big thing. He used to be a member of the CIA, and that definitely influences how people see his work because, people have not so great feelings about the CIA. People don't trust them. I don't think people have ever trusted them on both sides of the aisle. I think Tom King, some of his works are good. I think his Batman run is a big point of contention too. That storyline was very controversial. Some people thought it was kind of meandering. Some people thought it was kind of going wavering back and forth with its own ideas. And again, there's a lot going on there. Yeah, Tom King was in fact a member of the CIA. That is a thing. And again, listen, I don't want to get too much into Tom King's past in this discussion because I don't want to say anything inaccurate because I've heard a lot of contradictory stuff about Tom King's involvement in the CIA, how he's referred to the CIA in passing since then, but he said enough to piss some people off. I'll put it that way. So a lot of people, that colors their perspective of his work. He's had some good runs, some really good runs, but he's also had some rough runs, His Wonder Woman especially is very problematic, I think. Yeah. But again, the thing also with comic book writers is there's very few writers out there who will always make good stuff. Every writer has a bad run on sometimes. And it's kind of wondering, you kind of ask the question, is Tom King better with some books than others? Does he struggle with certain characters? And are those just high profile issues? There's a lot of elements to it. He's controversial. I wouldn't say he's bad. He's controversial because he had some incredible runs in comics. But I digress. Heroes in Crisis also was terrible. That one especially people hate. I can't blame them.
I want to see something like that and go, yeah, this looks great. This looks wonderful. Well, good for you. But that just looked as generic came. It looked like Guardians of the Galaxy. Doesn't look like James Gunn has got anything new in his repertoire whatsoever.
As James Gunn didn't make the movie. It's not a James Gunn film. You saw in the trailer, directed by Craig Gillespie, the guy who did I, Tonya, the Academy Award-winning movie, I, Tonya. And again, I just have to ask, did you do any research on the comic before watching this trailer? Do you know it's based on the Tom King run? It's very well known. It has not been a secret that Tom King's story is a direct inspiration for this movie. Well, let's see what he has to say.
Cynical, downbeat, Supergirl. But that's what she's like. Well, it all depends on what version of Supergirl. Do you know this?
It's the Women of Tomorrow comic run. We know what comic run it's from. Did you do any research before this? Did you look up? Did you read anything? Did you just jump in blind? I mean, it's possible, but listen, it doesn't depend on anything. We know what it's based on. We know the primary source. It's not a secret. It's not hidden. Your ignorance doesn't change the fact that those watching your reaction would know about this.
It's been quite a lot. I mean, if you live on Wikipedia, then maybe you don't. But there are so many different versions that you could have gone for, and particularly after Superman, and I know this was written before then, but after Superman, you could have pivoted into something a wee bit more upbeat with her, but no. I guess this is exactly the type of Supergirl that was shown off at the end of Superman. Disrespectful, just I don't even know what a character is, to be quite honest with you. Drunken hoe, sorority drunken hoe.
Clearly traumatized and self-medicating with partying and drinks. It's not difficult to figure out. It's pretty obvious, actually. Drunken. Why would you think she doesn't do anything sexual in this trailer? Why would you say that's a weird way of phrasing it?
At Blue Baron 6858 super chatted $2. The twat waffle dork. LMAOI wish he would go away.
Seriously. And it's bizarre how they keep framing it as like, oh, she's such a, whatever. It's like, dude, she doesn't do anything sexual in this trailer. She's just freaking partying and alone most of the time. She's mostly alone and clearly struggling, We see her trauma in the trailer, the destruction of Krypton. She remembers it. It's a key element of
At
character.
Stingertopia 3169 super chatted $5. He reminds me of the people still complaining about Gamergate plus the like 5 ladies who were a part of whole Japanese soldier who kept fighting.
Yep. Fighting the war 10 years on, right? Let's finish up with Az, then we'll move on to a more engaging critic, we'll say.
What were the stakes? Who are we caring about?
If you read the comic Az, you'd know what the stakes are. It's a teaser. It's meant to get you interested in the concept. Teasers tend to give you a sense of what the movie's going to be about generally, more than any plot beats. It's more of a tone established than a stake concept. The stakes will come later. They'll be more obvious. But, of course, the stakes are trying to avenge this girl's father. Crypto may end up getting poisoned and hurt in the conflict, and they have to find a cure for it. There's a lot of elements to the original story that are pretty good. Trying to find empathy and closure after trauma and overcoming grief. There's a lot going on there.
You don't want to try and give any sort of, here are the stakes and the plot.
Not in the teaser.
Here's what's on the... No. Okay.
Not in the teaser. Teasers don't typically give you plot details. It's more of a style thing. The teaser for Superman didn't tell you anything about the plot. It is what it is. Later trailers gave you a better sense of the plot. Same thing with The Batman. Didn't tell you that either. I digress.
But Blondie. So people are going to go, oh my God, did you see that? Not impressed. Not impressed at all. So there you go. Live reaction. You and me, we saw it for the first time together.
Notice how he said nothing of value. Troy Oboya went out for like 11, 13 minutes about the different ideas connecting to previous versions of Superman. And this guy's only reaction is, I'm not impressed. What's the conflict? I don't get it. It's very boring, isn't it? It's very, very, very dull. There's not a whole lot going on. Sad to say, but them's the breaks. Anyway, let's find a different one. Another one. Oh, jeez. Not a fan of her. Go with Grace Randolph? No, I'm not going to do that. That's mean. That would be cruel to sit through. I'm not a big Grace Randolph fan at all. For better or worse, it's not someone I particularly enjoy. I saw a reaction to the new VTuber who's totally not Jaden Animations at all. What? Who said that? All right, we'll go with Critical Drinker. This is the big one. This is the one everyone always talks about. And of course, almost 1 million views already.
This movie is a wacky, irreverent adventure about a dysfunctional, loose cannon protagonist with a love of dancing and 1980s pop music who uses...
We don't actually know that. We don't know if there's any interest in pop music. There's pop music in the trailer. That's about it.
At Austin LaPlante 4203 super chatted $10. I get the complaint that the cynical superhero is overdone, but let's be real, if Supergirl was upbeat in the teaser, these people would call her a Mary Sue.
Either that or just a female version of Superman. One of the two. There's no winning. You can't win with this. There's no way you can make a Supergirl trailer and not have someone say you either rip off or whatever. And besides, the last Supergirl was also very cynical and dark. In The Flash. And I thought she was one of the best parts of The Flash. Arguably the only good part of The Flash. But I digress. Anyway, so there's actually no indication she actually likes any pop music or she is dancing. There's just a pop music song, just Blondie in the trailer. That's all we get. We actually have no idea if she likes any of this music outside of this context at all. But I digress.
Snarky humor to mask their inner pain and turmoil. They're not your typical superhero.
I love how Critical Drinker is able to actually get the character as Supergirl in this description, at least, more than Az. Like, Az, like, I don't get what the character is. And even Critical Drinker's like, actually, I'm grifting and even I can figure this out. It just makes Az look stupider by comparison.
Oh, that's for sure. But when they get embroiled in a world-ending conflict, they're forced...
World-ending, I don't think it's world-ending. If you read the comics, it's not world... In fact, there's even shots from this directly from the comics. It's not world-ending, it's personal. The stakes are human. That's what makes the story so good. It's not a world-ending story. It's just a very personal, very grounded sort of situation.
To team up with a group of likable misfits. They're not your typical superhero team, that's for sure.
Not really misfits, more like singular,
Our gang have to learn to put aside their differences and work together to save the day, and along the way, our main character finds a new surrogate family in this crazy group of outcasts.
Here's the thing I don't understand, dude. You're saying group. I assume you haven't read Women of Tomorrow. Why do I think you do? But even then, group. You have Crypto, and you have one other girl there. From your perspective, who's the group? And we know she and Crypto are already together before this starts. There's two people. There are two people in the entire story. What are they? Rutley? Yeah, anyway. The farm girl whose father's killed. Good character. Really good character. But it's two people. It's not a group. And it's not really a group of family. It's more like they have a common connection through trauma and pain. They both have the similar pain where their lives were destroyed unfairly by some outside force. And the villain isn't a world-ending threat. He's not even particularly strong by comparison of Supergirl. He just happens to be elsewhere. Of course, Lobo will probably be the physical threat that Supergirl has to face off against, because that'd be fun. But I digress.
And learns that sometimes the real heroes are the friends we make along the way.
Not really what it's about, but sure, whatever.
This isn't your typical superhero movie.
Okay, Mandy there, I guess.
At Honcho Super Chatted $1.99. Wonder Woman gal flip it around Wicked Witch snow it.
Okay. Fair, I guess. I'm not sure what that means, but I'm going with it. Gal Gadot, I'm guessing. Point is, yeah, Supergirl is running. It's a very typical story, but it's not. Even then, somehow Critical Drinker still misjudged what the story's about, based again on the incredible storyline Women of Tomorrow. It's 8 issues. Read it.
Movie, that's for sure. It's interesting how a movie that was, officially at least, neither written nor directed by James Gunn is somehow shaping up to be the most James Gunn movie that ever James Gunned.
Again, they can't even talk about Craig Gillespie. They have to talk about James Gunn because they know their audience doesn't know who the fuck Craig Gillespie is. Never saw I, Tonya, I guess. That's the problem. They have to grift for a recognizable name because their audience doesn't know it. Again, Troy Oboyo talked about Craig Gillespie and that whole influence more than any of these guys have so far.
I don't know how else to say it, but the trailer that just got released yesterday is basically a comprehensive checklist of every tired, played-out James Gunn cliche from every superhero movie he's ever made.
It's from a Tom King story, dude. All these plot points, these things, they're from a Tom King story. Jesus.
The dog to kick things off, because there's always a dog in a James Gunn movie, because...
There's always a dog in a James Gunn movie. Was there a dog in Super? I forget. I don't think there was any dogs in Slither. I don't even think there was a dog in Guardians of the Galaxy originally. I know there was there was the Russian cosmonaut dog in that appears in the background until the third film, really. There wasn't a dog in Peacemaker. Wasn't a dog in the Suicide Squad. Brightburn didn't have a dog. He produced Brightburn. He produced this too, but like, yeah, just Guardians 3 and Superman. Those are the only ones with dogs as a main component. I know the dog's also in the first Guardians 2, but like it's like very briefly. It's not like a main component of it.
At Nicholas Meisel super chatted $2. Drinker hasn't seen Super, confirmed.
Well, let's be perfectly honest. Most people haven't seen Super. I think Super is James Gunn's least watched movie. It's also probably his worst movie, I might say, but I digress. Also, if you count James Gunn's scripts, Scooby-Doo. There's a dog in that. Where's the dog in Dawn of the Dead? You know? Where's the dog in Romeo and Juliet? You know? Again, you go down the list, the fewer dogs you see, and you're kind of like, well, dog in every James Gunn movie, that's an odd complaint.
Everyone knows that putting a cute furry animal in your movie is pretty much the quickest and laziest way of speedrunning your way to audience sympathies.
Buddy, people like the dog. Krypto's from the comics. They're adapting a major character from the comics into the film because it's cool and people like dogs. You know? If your big issue is like, oh, there's a dog in it and that stinks. I'm like, well, buddy, what's your fucking problem with the dog?
We've got the obnoxious use of 1980s pop songs because, by golly, James Gunn sure does love his classic pop music, which...
I mean, most trailers have a pop song in it. Just what it is, man. I'm sorry to say. Hell, the Batman had a pop song in it, technically. I mean, Nirvana's pretty popular. Nirvana's a pretty big one. But I digress.
At Angels Art and Gaming super chatted $2. What's wrong with animals?
Exactly.
Drinker. What's wrong?
What's wrong with animals? Exactly. Also, do you know what movie didn't have a pop song in its trailer that James Gunn did direct? Superman. Superman does not have a pop song in any of its trailers. It has the Superman theme in it. That's the only music that plays. The song from Superman plays in the trailers for Superman. That's it. Let's tell you guys.
It has the interesting effect of pissing me off twice, because I know the studio's gonna absolutely jump on this video the moment I play more than a second of the trailer with audio, and also because after being forced to listen to Kate Bush on repeat in Stranger Things like I was trapped in some kind of Guantanamo Bay torture session, I've developed a thorough and abiding hatred of this lazy, cringe, nostalgia-milking bullshit. It's not cool and quirky anymore, it's just fucking tired.
Why were you watching Stranger Things on repeat? Also, Kate Bush music is rarely in movies. What the fuck are you talking about, man? Would you ever consider Kate Bush pop music from the 80s? I mean, yeah, it's from the 80s, but pop music? I wouldn't say Kate Bush is pop music. Kate Bush is weird, man. Kate Bush is some strange music. I love Kate Bush, but it is not like... It's not music you'd associate with that decade, really. It's an fascinating little bit of music. I love Kate Bush, but some of those songs are out there. Some of them are really weird. You would think that is pop. Okay, it is pop. Okay, that's fair. Yeah, no, Kate Bush is good. I like Kate Bush a lot, but her music's a little more experimental. I feel like Kate Bush kind of has some Pink Floydish elements to her, which I dig.
At Honcho super chatted $1.99. Hope a white horse gets referenced in the SG movie.
Yeah, that'd be pretty good. I'd be down for a white horse. Yeah, the super horse. I'd be down for that. I want to see Bat-Cow show up in these movies eventually. Subtitles. Oh yeah, I got you.
Also, and I'm hardly a musical expert on this one, but I kinda have to question the song choice here.
Blondie?
Call Me by Blondie was written for American Gigolo, a movie about a male prostitute. What the dickens could they be hinting at here? Anyway, it's time to introduce...
Probably nothing beyond it being a pop song. I don't think the song choice is as important for this one. I think it's just a fun song. It gets the style.
our main character, Kara. She's not your typical superhero though. She's a drunken, cynical, messed up party girl who likes to cut loose and do her own thing. She's
like in the comics.
Definitely not here to live up to your expectations.
Jesus Christ.
At Otto Johnny super chatted $5. Can we appreciate the irony of the drinker complaining about a character who's cynical, a drinker, and wears shades?
You know what? I'm not gonna lie. I feel like the lack of self-awareness is pretty key for
At
drinker
user
in general.
_225_CCC super chatted $1.99. This guy would dog pant for Brie Larson feet pics.
For drinker? I don't know. I don't even think he would do that. I don't know. I would hope he has a little more self-respect than the pant for Brie Larson feet pics. The wiki feet's right there. You don't need to go that. Someone else has got them already and post them online probably. Again, the problem is drinker has no self-awareness. Like, oh, cynical girl who drinks a lot with shades indoors. I'm like, buddy, didn't you just post an image in this video of you bringing a drill to your head with sunglasses inside with the implication that you're wearing them indoors because you're too hungover to look at the bright lights around you?
At Hopeless Nostalgic 4833 super chatted $5. TH3 Birdman called him out on this. Drinker hates 80s music now, but didn't he hate the new Predator because it wasn't like the first one? From 1987?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. The problem is he's a hypocrite. That's what it is ultimately. He has no standards. He has no specifics. He just does whatever he wants because it's easier than to actually get a perspective on anything. He'll hate on everything because it's easier to hate on everything than to actually analyze it. Oh, the problem is he's hypocritical. Whatever he has to hate that week, he'll hate. What he ever has to reminisce about, he'll reminisce about it. Doesn't matter if it makes any sense. He can go on a 5-minute tangent about how bad 80s music is and then go like, oh, movies were so good in the 80s. Don't you remember the 80s where stories were better and men were men and women were women and all that kind of bullshit? It's just bullshit. It's all this. It's just bullshit. He has no analysis. I'm waiting for the analysis yet.
At user _225_CCC super chatted $1.99. Always mad at Brie. They're lactose intolerant.
Lactose intolerance. That's a good point. Allergic of that good cheese. That's terrible. I'm so sorry. But yeah, no, the problem is he just gets angry at everyone all the time. He has to be angry at something. He has to get angry at something. Because if he's not angry at something, he's angry at nothing. If he's angry at nothing, he's not making any money. The Critical Drinker is a channel built entirely on rage. You can't have any thought beyond that. Again, compared to what Troy Oboyo said. Troy Oboyo was like, hey, we're looking at the comics, how does it compare to the other films, this, that, and the other, analysis. You don't have to love the movie. You don't have to love the movie. You don't have to love the movie at all. But you have to provide some perspective. You have to provide some ideas to the story. He's just looking for things to hate on. And again, unlike Az, who just went off the cuff like a lazy guy and didn't actually think too hard about what he had to say, Critical Drinker has scripted this. He's had time to step back and think of jokes. He's thought about this, and he's still providing us with literally nothing. Beyond, like what? Like how about we're almost at the halfway point of this video, and all we know is that Critical Drinker hates songs and he hates dogs, apparently, which is a choice for him, I guess.
That's for sure.
Girls get it done.
He's used this clip from the boys so many times and misses the context that it's making, that in the story it's still a joke. It's like, I don't know. There's nothing about this in any of these films outside of one scene close to an Avengers Endgame that comes close to this.
She's played by Millie Alcock, who turned in a great performance in House of the Dragon, and I'm sure she's going to do her best here. I mean, she's not exactly statuesque like I'd imagine Supergirl to be, but whatever. It's not like we'd expect her to do...
Supergirl as statuesque is an odd comparison, because Supergirl's never been statuesque. She's not Wonder Woman. She's not Big Bertha. Big Bertha. Almost a Big Bertha. It's a very different physicality if she was Big Bertha. She's not Big Bertha. She's not Black Canary. She's not Black Widow. She's a girl. She has a normal human anatomy. Well, relatively normal-ish human anatomy. She's never been designed as buff or big, or a bombshell. She's just a woman, and she'll always be a woman to me. I'm sorry. She's more like Slender, usually. Power Girl. Power Girl is statuesque. That's a different version of Supergirl, though. So I digress. I almost said Big Bird. Yeah, I almost said Big Bird. Yeah, exactly. Big Bird. Statuesque, like Big Bird, on Sesame Street.
At user_225_CCC super chatted $1.99. Statuesque. I think of Power Girl and Wonder Woman.
Yeah, that's what I would think of. I would think of Power Girl. But that's not the case. Big Bird's a Giga Chad. Yeah, exactly.
Do crazy stuff like work out in a gym or anything, but she looks fine.
But she's not. That's not what Supergirl's about. Have you read a Supergirl comic? Who am I kidding? Of course you haven't.
Is the drunk, out-of-control party girl who's going through a midlife crisis at 23 for some reason. Oh
yeah, some reason. What could have caused her to have such trauma? What did she do? Watch her planet blow up or something and watch everyone she loves die in front of her? What a loser. What a rube.
My goodness, it must be such a drag to be young and hot and super-powered. Can't imagine how you cope with it. Quirky,
It's almost like her planet blew up or something in front of her and she watched everyone she loved die. Maybe.
At user_225_CCC super chatted $1.99. Wouldn't they love the thinner look? No consistency.
They're not consistent. They're not consistent. They would call her like a... They would be making fun of her otherwise. I've heard some bizarre things people have said about the Supergirl actress. It's crazy. Again, the problem is that he's demonstrating he has no understanding of Supergirl's character. He genuinely doesn't realize Supergirl watched everyone she loved die. That's why she's drinking. And she's going to a planet with a red sun so she can get drunk because she can escape the pain of the memory of Krypton blowing up. They even show Krypton blowing up in the trailer. It's like, buddy, do you know anything about Superman or Supergirl? Come on, man.
Pseudo-retro science fiction gags? Don't worry, we've got you covered. Because clearly when you have the ability to fly and travel through space, a bus is the natural choice for getting around.
She's on a planet with red sun, so she can't fly. That's, again, source material. Gotta read the comics to know that.
Actually, why the fuck does she even bother wearing a trench coat when she's basically immune to temperature? Oh right, that's why. Time for a fight scene.
No, it's because she doesn't want to draw attention to herself as much, I think. But, I digress.
I guess. Let's assemble our group of accommodating stuntmen to get the shit kicked out of them. But don't forget to work in that snarky James Gunn humor.
Okay, this does not look like this is gonna end well. For you guys.
That's a line that Tom King wrote before James Gunn got involved in the movie. That's a Tom King line from the comics that someone else wrote in the script for this movie and adapted for it. It's in the comic, almost verbatim. James Gunn had no involvement in that one. That predates James Gunn's involvement.
At user_225_CCC super chatted $1.99. Can't love all women's bodies? Massive skill issue.
Massive skill issue, agreed. To be intimidated. I agree.
Nailed it. Who even wrote this shite anyway?
Tom King.
Anna Noguera, eh?
Oh, look at that. This is something interesting, too. And I know the Birdman mentioned this, too, so I'll bring it up again. Clicks on Anna Noguera's name. Ignores Craig Gillespie's name. Ignores Tom King, based on Supergirl, Wonder Woman of Tomorrow, by Tom King. Completely skips Tom King. Completely skips Craig Gillespie. Hones in on Anna Noguera. Odd that you hone in on that and don't even bother clicking on the other names. Just, you can tell which one you clicked on because the color is slightly off. You clicked on one, but not the others. You didn't even click on the comic. Odd. Just odd. Just point it out there. Odd.
Not exactly a screenwriter I'm familiar with, but surely she must have some pretty impressive accomplishments if she's been charged with writing a $200 million blockbuster. Let's take a quick look at her IMDb page, shall we?
So, one completed short film that you haven't seen. And you're also ignoring a couple other things there. It looks like there's other elements you're honing in on there, buddy. Like other movies that she's worked on.
Oh. Oh. You know when Marvel used to hire small-time indie directors for their big-budget movies because they knew
At unwritten page 7791 super chatted $2. Hones in on Ana Neguera. You know why.
Oh, I know exactly why. Because he can grift on it.
they'd be too scared and overwhelmed to do anything other than obey studio orders? I can't help but think of that right now. Anyway, it doesn't matter who wrote it, the end result is the same. I am fucking tired of the—
You ignored the comic it's based on, didn't try to understand what it's drawing from, dude. Like, come on. Come the fuck on, man.
These movies, man. The forced humor, the overbearing music, the desperate attempts to be edgy and different, the visual diarrhea that looks to be 90% green screen, the predictable plot points and story beats that you just know is going to be shoved into the standard James Gunn mold because that's literally the only thing he's—
What is the standard James Gunn mold? That's the thing. His stories are nothing like each other. There are elements that are similar, sure. Themes, reoccurring elements, characters that act a certain way, behave a certain way. But this is the first chance we're going to see how involved James Gunn is on every level. The problem is we don't know for sure how much James Gunn's going to be involved in this. We don't know how much he's involved with the perspectives and the plot and all that good stuff. What we do know is that James Gunn is a producer on it, that he is the architect of the DCU currently, and it is the first DCU project that James Gunn has not written in some capacity. It's based directly on a comic written by Tom King, and it's a director who's unlike James Gunn. Hell, an Academy Award-winning director, you know. It's a matter of perspective as to what we can expect, but I'm reasonably expecting good things.
At the Misnik fan super chatted $5. See article drinker is all the proof I need that misogyny makes you dumb.
Mm-hmm. Well, so is excessive alcohol consumption, but that's another discussion for another day. Point is, James Gunn has written films and produced films before. Brightburn, for example, is nothing like a traditional James Gunn movie. But it's definitely not like Superman that James Gunn made, but he produced it. James Gunn has produced films before, and the typical James Gunn isms that these people are complaining about don't occur in those films. Oh, I really want to see Clayface too. Can't wait for that.
He's capable of producing now.
I hate so much about the things that you choose to be.
There's a word that keeps lurking in my mind whenever I think of James Gunn films, and that word is sincerity. Not because they actually possess it, God no, but because they're so completely lacking in it that it actually feels they're taking something away from the audience.
He has nothing to say. He has nothing to actually say about the movie. You can tell because he's going around in circles. Like, oh, who wrote this movie? Oh, it's a woman with no experiences. Oh, James Gunn's so terrible. He's playing the greatest hits about how bad James Gunn is. All to avoid actually engaging with the film. Again, Troy Oboyo, engage with the themes, the ideas, the films, the casting, the legacy of the character Supergirl. There is so much to mine in discussion about Supergirl. And yet, all that Critical Drinker can do is talk around the movie. He's barely even discussing what actually happens in the trailer. I don't even think he's mentioned Lobo once, and that's like the big talking point a lot of people have about this movie. He doesn't really have much to what he's describing. He has very little to talk about, actually, quite frankly, because he has nothing to say.
Audience on a fundamental level. He's the movie equivalent of an insecure teenager who's so scared of being mocked and ridiculed that literally everything he says and does has to be cloaked in a protective shield of sarcasm, cynicism, and ironic humor. You can't—
Really? Everything, huh? Everything he does is filled with ironic humor, huh? Everything, huh? So if I just play a random scene from one of his movies, just hypothetically, like a random scene, we'll say. Just like a random scene out of nowhere, you know, nothing specific, just, you know, a random scene, right? It'll be nothing but like humor, right? Play this scene, for example, right here.
I'm sorry I didn't do none of it right. damn lucky.
Where's the line right here? There you go. This bit right here, for example, if it's played this out of context.
He may have been your father, boy, but he wasn't your daddy.
Like that, yeah, so much humor hidden behind veneers of distance, you know? There's nothing, everything in this scene is so ironic and just goofy. Nothing emotionally devastating in this scene at all. I'm not going to play the whole thing. You've seen this movie before. You know what comes next. The fact of the matter is that people like James Gunn movies. You know, a guy who genuinely brought a lot of humanity to the MCU. There's some deeply intense personal scenes in Superman, like one after the other. The scene with Pa Kent.
At Olivia _Williams _purple _fairy super chatted $3.61. The projection is strong. He's the one who basically is just pumping out the same content over and over again.
That's all he's got, you know? And it's I feel bad for Drinker to some degree. I do. Because he's trapped in his own little bear trap. Yeah, he gets a lot of views, but I don't think it brings him any satisfaction. I think he genuinely wants to make his action films that are like escapist, entertaining. But he doesn't know how to tell a good story. And again, his lack of insight about the trailer is proof of that. You can't look to see what the ideas are. You can't analyze it in any meaningful capacity. He has to look at superficial details, and he hides his lack of knowledge through these sarcastic jokes, through ridicule, because he has nothing really to say, and that's reflective of his lack of creativity. I'll even give Mahler this. As much as I can't stand Mahler, at least he has something to contribute to the conversation with academic discussion, with analysis. At least he has some degree of understanding of how to talk about a story. Drinker has none of that. Drinker just talks, he yaps, but he doesn't really say much. And you can tell he doesn't have a lot to say because he doesn't actually talk about the specifics of any given discussion point. He doesn't go into the legacy of the characters, the themes of the original work, how they might be adapted. Hell, a basic point of discussion is how the film is more sci-fi inspired than the original comic, which has a more of a ruralistic, again planetary romance, John Carter kind of esque style to it. Big deal right there. More industrialized elements, more build, less of the role, like the rock farms and all that. But again, basic stuff, not complicated. I'm just throwing out ideas off the cuff, not unscripted, just conversationally. Where he just misses. He avoids discussing them because he has nothing really to contribute to that discussion whatsoever. This is unlike every other comic YouTuber who cares about the comics. If you care about the comics, there is so much to mine here, so much to discuss here, so much to analyze here. There is so much here that he avoids. He misses. He skips. He doesn't know what he's talking about. How can you overlook some of these details? Some of the coolest stuff possible.
At user _225 _CCC super chatted $1.99. Coolest Asian guy superheroes? I need my rep.
In terms of superheroes, I'd say probably Kamen Rider, probably at this point. Kamen Rider's your best bet.
Can't make fun of him because he's already doing it to himself. But holy fuck, does it make for a hollow movie experience. You really can't get invested in anything or anyone in a James Gunn movie because it all feels like a setup for one big joke. And
really? Yeah, of course. You're right, of course. One big joke. You're right. There's no one in a James Gunn movie that has ever not been a joke, right? There's so many jokey scenes. So many jokey scenes. Like, for example, like this jokey scene right here, of course. This jokey scene.
Like the one that used to be out by that old blue barn out on that I-9. You remember that? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just a
burritos.
Just a scene of a father and son talking. Such a jokey scene, right? James Gunn can't write sincerity. Why would that be the case? It's not even complicated, dude. Like 5 seconds of... If you watch these films, you know immediately. Also, why the obsession with Mandy? Like, Mandy also has a lot of James Gunn-esque elements to it. in terms of the stylistic choices, the references to the 80s pop culture throughout with the heavy metal, 70s pop culture in this case, with the heavy metal aesthetic and all the allusions to bands and psychedelic rock from the era. A lot of that is a reference as well. It's heavily stylistic, like what James Gunn does. I'd say more stylistic. I'd say Mandy's a great movie. I love Mandy. But, you know, when Nicolas Cage is in that movie and he takes the drugs, he imagines himself kind of as the Golem from the old 1920s silent film, 1910 silent films, the Golem, as well as the Frankenstein monster, or Jason Voorhees even, you know? It's like pop culture regurgitated throughout history. But you don't notice this, I don't think, because you don't know the references. You think it's original, but those who are immersed in culture, who just dig the psychedelic rock era, they pick up on what they're throwing down, you know? Like a Black Sabbath album, basically come to life. That's Mandy. I guess, would that be doom metal, I guess? Some Black Sabbath, like the initial Black Sabbath album, the self-titled album of Black Sabbath. I feel like that's a good, even then, like mixed with Pink Floyd a little bit. Anyway, I digress.
Well, I think people are starting to feel it. For all Zack Snyder's faults as a storyteller, and believe me, there are many, one thing you can't accuse the guy of is insincerity. His films might be slow, bloated, self-important, dour and overly serious, but you can tell he's 100% committed to the story he's telling. And there's a kind of simplistic honesty.
You realize that Zack Snyder and James Gunn have worked together, right? Like, listen, it's clear what he's doing. He's glazing Zack Snyder so the Snyder fanboys can watch his stuff and support him. He wants the Snyder bros on his side. He recognizes where the tide is turning. He wants to take advantage of the grift. I get that. That's obviously what he's doing. However, in the process, he's acting as though Zack Snyder is some untapped potential, like some earnest storyteller. And he is earnest. I'll give him that. I like Zack Snyder as a person. He seems like a good guy. I've never heard a person say a bad word about Zack Snyder as a person. However, as a storyteller, come on, man.
Honesty in what he does. He's sincerely trying to show you who he is.
The best Zack Snyder film was written by James Gunn. Sorry. Dawn of the Dead's the best Zack Snyder film. And the fact that it's not listed among the ones you've just shown proves to me you know that too.
And what matters to him as a filmmaker. We even ran a poll on Open Bar a few weeks ago asking the audience if they preferred Man of Steel.
There you go. Again, your audience was polled. So yeah, your audience is going to hate Superman no matter what. Of course. How about an unbiased poll? How about that? And polls aren't exactly the most reliable statistic anywhere on the internet because anyone can bot farm them to make them like, or bot rate them, make them like one result higher than the other. You know, basic.
Steel, a movie that's been thoroughly shit on over the years, or James Gunn's Superman by James Gunn, and the results were like 90% in favour of Man of Steel. That's not an endorsement.
So wait, hang on. 2,000? Hang on, wait a second. You only got 2,000 votes? I get more votes my
At Auto Johnny super chatted $2. I like the Snyder Cut.
Hey, Snyder Cut's fine, man. I have no issue with Snyder Cut. I'm not a big fan of the Snyder Cut. I don't hate it. But still.
Endorsement of Man of Steel, it's an indictment of James Gunn's Superman and everything that it represents. Because when you get right down to it, I honestly think most people would choose deeply flawed sincerity over polished duplicity. What I'm trying to say with all this pretentious bullshit.
No, I think more people want to see Superman after the failure that was Zack Snyder's Justice League series.
At Olivia_Williams_purple_fairy super chatted $3.61. I loved James Gunn's Superman. I'd rather gauge my eyes than watch Man of Steel.
Exactly. Here's one of the guys like Trickle Drinker don't realize. Being perpetually online blinds you what the average person thinks. It really does. You lose track of what the average person actually wants and believes because you... Okay. I'm going to set this up for the next one. Because you get terminally online. That's the problem. You terminally online, that's the issue. I'm going to take a brief break after we finish this trailer just to go to the bathroom, but I'm going to tell you what we're going to go watch next. Don't worry about a thing.
Is that this trailer made me feel weary somewhere deep down inside whatever passes for my soul. It's too
Never mention Craig Gillespie the entire time, by the way. Not
much
once.
of everything that I'm sick of at this point, and I'm willing to bet that I'm not the only one who feels this way. God only knows what it's going to do at the box office. Everything
if
that I'm
Superman
sick
could
of at
barely
this scrape its way to $600 million worldwide, despite the longest and most obnoxiously desperate marketing campaign in history. What chance do you think this fucking derivative, tired, played out abortion of a film is going to have? It's like...
You mean one of the most widely watched films on HBO Max? You know? People like the Superman movie. That's the reality of it. They like it. It made a profit at the box office. It's widely watched at home. It's been in the conversation for weeks and months and months now at this point. People are excited to watch more like it. That's the reality of it. The reason why you're even getting views about the Supergirl trailer is because Superman is in conversation. That's the reality of it. People are talking about Superman. And because of that, Supergirl is relevant. The only reason we're fucking talking about it is because people want to watch it. And $600 million is nothing to scratch your nose at because that's still... People have done the math. Superman was more profitable than Man of Steel. Truth.
Like if you've been at a party all night, it's 3 a.m. and you're getting ready to stagger home and pass out on your kitchen floor, and some dickhead comes in with a tray of shots and screams, "Let's get this fucking party started." No, the party's over, James. It's been over for like 5 years now. You're just too wrapped up in your own PR to realize it. Anyway, that's...
Okay, well, that's inaccurate, I'd say, considering the most successful superhero movies of the year, but I digress. Okay, so I'm gonna take a quick break real fast, but when we get back, we're gonna say hello to an old friend of the channel, and see what she thinks about Supergirl, whatever. Be right back. Play some music for you as I'm waiting, and give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Oh my goodness. Okay, actually, I'm still here. I'm not sure why I did that. I kind of prematurely put that screen on. Like, okay, let's go. 1 second. Everything's taking forever to load. I'm trying to get the music on for you guys. Oops, chat going on.
At Cassie Hoge 1677 super chatted 37 cents. Go Peace Girl.
There you go. All right, here we go. That's not right. That one. This is good. Here you go. Right back, guys. Give me 1 second. Right back. right here as I come back. One sec. Oh, cool. That's done. Oh, wait. Oh, hang on. Gotta switch back. There we go. We're back now. Good. Sorry about that. Like I said, quick break. Didn't spend too much time out there. Now, back to where we were, shall we? Gesture. Oh, by the way, if you want to see what I was watching on here, I was watching the opening to Ozymandias over here. Fun stuff. Unfortunately, now I gotta lose the Ozymandias opening because I gotta watch Jezebel. How great is that? So, guys, would you rather me watch Ozymandias opening on stream and get copyright struck, or watch Jezebel? What do you want to do? I mean, you don't have much of a choice. We watch Jezebel no matter what, but still. Well, that doesn't sound so bad right now, does it? Good old Jezebel. The Ozymandias is fantastic. I'll tell you, it's great. Love Ozymandias. What the funny thing is, Ozymandias was. I'll talk about this before we get started with Jezebel, so people come back in after their pee break or water break, whatever. By the way, if you're playing the drinking game at home, make sure you get some hydration going on in you. Unclench your jaws, straighten up, flex your shoulders. What's Ozymandias? When I graduated high school, the week leading up to my graduation, I rewatched all of Ozymandias. And I watched the night before I graduated high school. I went out with my girlfriend, who is now my wife, to go see Toy Story 3 in theaters. It came out at the same time as I was graduating high school. And after I watched that, I watched the final episode of Ozymandias, which is such a freaking mix of things to watch right before graduating high school. That's a pill right there to swallow. Anyway, Jezebel has a video about Supergirl out. I know, it's Supergirl. I mean, it's Jezebel. But we haven't visited her in a while, and I wonder if she's improved at all to any capacity. Let's take a look.
Hello, everyone. Female...
No, you're not. You're not female Frodo Baggins.
Frodo Baggins here. And can you guess my reaction to the...
Frodo Baggins? I love how it says Frodo Baggins in the AI subtitles. You're not Frodo Baggins. I'm sorry. You're not. You have too many fingers to be Frodo Baggins. You got his fingers gnawed off by Gollum at the end of the movie.
Latest Supergirl trailer. Can you guess my reaction to James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 4?
Take a shot. They all mention it first. They have one joke. Between all of them. They all have one joke. Jesus Christ. They have one joke. Just one. Oh my God. By the way, if you're playing the game Sips with Jezebel, you know she's going to repeat herself the entire time. Because she always does that. Jezebel always goes in cycles. Like she cycles through what she's talking about. Like, it's the same thing. It's so derivative. You know, every time she repeats herself too much. She mumbles to herself. So it's going to be rough. By the way, you know that her sister worked for the Daily Wire under Ben Shapiro? As one of his... I think her sister, who's appeared in some of her videos, actually is... or was for a while the social media manager for Daily Wire under Ben Shapiro. I feel it's a point to mention out. You know, just a thing to mention, you know. Worth discussing, I think. When discussing her
At WC
biases.
with super chatted $4.99. Female Frodo Baggins is to Jezebel as Fetch is to Gretchen Wieners.
Stop making Fetch happen. It's not going to happen.
At Stingertopia 3169 super chatted $2. Frodo out a sue. This is just identity theft.
Exactly. I'm seeing some people in chat say also Steven Crowder. I don't know if it is for a fact also into Steven Crowder, but it wouldn't surprise me. She's weird with her sister. Yeah, her sister and her are very similar in terms of personality, I guess. But anyway.
I'm sorry. Supergirl trailer. I bet you can't. I bet that my feelings on James Gunn haven't been made clear. I bet that people really woke up this morning and thought, wow, it's a really big mystery as to...
No one expects Jezebel to be positive about anything. Next, Jezebel hates James Gunn. In other news, water is wet. To quote a different Superman movie.
To how Jezebel, female Frodo Baggins, feels
You're
about...
Okay. This pisses me off. Okay, so as someone who loves Lord of the Rings, let me explain to you why you're not a female Frodo Baggins. For one, you're not 40 years old.
At user
and looks like you're 20,
225 _CCC super chatted $1.99. Not even gonna cap. She looks like your sister Tears of Joy.
I don't know how to feel about that. I don't feel comfortable with that information. I don't feel comfortable with that. I mean, listen. I've been told that like the one, what was the one, the Smud Boys or whatever, Smudcast or whatever, said that like I was basically like Neuralities or looked like Neuralities. I'm like, I for sure look like Neuralities. I don't know what Neuralities' face looks like. I don't think anyone knows what Neuralities' face looks like. Well, her icon looks kind of like mine, I guess. So, Jezebel is not remotely like me in any way, shape, or form. Jesus Christ. That's going to be a meme, isn't it? That's bad. That's a bad one. No. So Jezebel is, I don't want to, I mean, maybe, I don't know. Brown hair. I mean, I guess all brown-haired white people look the same. Said brown-haired white guys look the same. Would have been very different of a discussion there if I said that one. But no, yeah, okay, sure. But I'm not Frodo Baggins. I'm too tall. Point of the matter is, Frodo Baggins. Just over. No, okay. Listen. Okay. Let me draw a line in the sand there. This is the comment there. Jezebel versus Lily Orchard. Lily Orchard's worse by many metrics more than Jezebel. There's no comparison. Jezebel's annoying. That she's a grifter and she's annoying. Well, she's maybe a grifter. I'm not even sure. She's definitely a rage baiter. That's bad. She's not good. Lily Orchard is way worse. Lily Orchard is vastly worse. There's no comparison. None. I'm sorry. I don't want to spoil the fun, but Lily is way out there in terms of how bad she is. Yeah, Frodo's 50 when he leaves the Shire, so very young compared to the Frodo.
At Nicholas Meisel super chatted $5. I tend to repeat myself a lot when I ramble, but damn, JB. Come up with a new line.
Yeah, like a catchphrase is fine, but like she recycles too much. I'm gonna put her a little faster, by the way, because she tends to talk a lot. Let me playback speed. Let's put her up to 1.25.
About this Supergirl movie that's coming out.
Oh, here we go. This is oof. That's a comment right there.
At user _225 _CCC super chatted $1.99. Did her barber sneeze and chop half her bangs?
I'm not gonna make fun of her. I'm not gonna make fun of Jezebel's appearance. I don't want to. I feel like that's below the belt a little bit. That being said, though, okay, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of like the sweater. I kind of dig that sweater. I would wear that sweater. It's a nice sweater. I'm not gonna lie. It's cozy. It looks like a cozy sweater. I'll give her that. Jezebel, you have a nice sweater. There you go. That's my compliment for the day. You have a nice sweater, I guess. I would want that. My size, of course, which I'm sure you have since apparently we're related now, apparently. Anyway.
Spoilers. I hate everything about this trailer, this concept, what James Gunn is doing, the situation that comic book media is.
Okay, how much do you want to bet she does not mention Craig Gillespie either, or Tom King? Well, she might mention Tom King. At least I know Jezebel knows the comics exist. Which is more than I can say for Az or Critical Drinker. You remind me of Ireland when I look at you. Ireland, really? Why Ireland? I'm curious. That's interesting. Huh, Ireland. Yeah, it's a good sweater. It's a nice sweater. I'll give her that. I'm not too mean.
is in, and the situation of the movie industry as a whole releasing this. Because listen, it is not good right now, guys. This is the darkest moments of the movie industry ever, where the old one is collapsing at this point. WB might get sold to Netflix. They might close that deal in some months. Disney recently just made $1 billion deal with OpenAI to license their characters out to OpenAI so that now people can make clips with Mickey Mouse and Elsa and Captain America, AI regurgitated slop clips, because the industry has just given up. Movie theaters might not exist in the future, and it is the darkest time for us movie fans.
Okay. Based. That part's based. I'll give her that. I'll give Jezebel that. That's based. That's fair. Yeah. Deeply upsetting stuff with the movie industry right now, with entertainment in general. That's fair. I'll give her that. I think her rant a few weeks ago about how this was the worst year for movies ever is really dumb. But at least I'll rare Jezebel win. Rare Jezebel win. I'll give her that. That is fair. Okay, so far she's surprising me. She is surprising me for this point. Okay, Jezebel, that was a surprise. I'll give you that. Didn't expect that one. Because of the specific look of you. That's a fair point. Gaelic, Irish language. The name's Italian, but that's interesting. Gaelic. Huh. I do like Ireland. I'll give you that. I do like. You have good whiskey up there. You have good whiskey in Ireland. I'm kidding. I mean, I'm not kidding. Your whiskey's also good, but I like Ireland. Ireland's fascinating.
But in the midst of all of that, my opinion is always that the main problem of why people don't go to movies anymore is the bad movies. We wouldn't be able to be on YouTube and have so many channels cover bad movies. I always say...
No, you're wrong. It's the price of the ticket. Movies that were bad would sell tickets all the time. Hell, I feel like people forget how many garbage movies we had in the 2000s. There were a lot of crappy movies. Listen, one of my all-time least favorite movies of all time comes from the 2000s, and that's The Nightmare... Oh, not 2010. The Nightmare on Elm Street remake is one of my least favorite films of all time. Deeply disappointing movie. There were tons of generic action films that were pretty garbage. I know that the Transformers movies have some fans. I am not one of them.
The problem is...
I'm not a fan of those. They're pretty terrible. You got AVP Requiem coming out at that time. There were a lot of crap... There were a lot of crappy movies that came out. Yet, they made their money. They got cash at the bank. Hell, Exorcist... you want to talk about bad legacy prequels, whatever. Exorcist The Beginning or Dominion prequel to The Exorcist. Terrible movies. Still came out that time period. Still people went to go see them, Paramount is the worst choice, though. Between Netflix and Paramount, I'll choose Netflix. I'd rather neither of them get by Warner Brothers personally, but, Paramount is the worst option by far. People get nostalgic for things that were in the past, but and look, I'll be perfectly honest. I still don't like the Star Wars prequels. I don't get the glazing. People are like, oh, the prequels were so good compared to the sequels. No, they weren't. They were garbage movies. You have one good one with that, one decent one with that being Return of the Revenge of the Sith. But Attack of the Clones is the worst Star Wars film by far, in my opinion. It is goddamn boring. Quantum of Solace, disappointing sequel. Yeah, agreed. It's one of the worst James Bond films of recent memory. 2010s, 2000s, there are some bad movies, and just maybe you forgot about it, but I didn't. Jesus. Yeah, Ballistic X versus Sever, that's extremely bad. Movie 43, one of the worst comedies of all time. Jesus.
Bad movies. Bad movies mean less people want to go to the theater. When less people go to the theater, that means prices raise, and they have to play more commercials to try to compensate for the lost revenue. When
prices raise, then people don't show up. Then they raise prices more. That's what it is. If it's a cycle, it's when if they charge less for tickets, people go see them. Case in point, the showings that are cheaper are usually more successful than the ones that are more expensive. It costs a lot of money to take a family out to go to the movies nowadays. It's a lot of cash you got to spend. Hancock. Hancock was all right. I think the first 2/3 of the movie are really good, and the last third's not that good.
At Olivia_Williams_purple_fairy super chatted $2.01. Clone Wars animated movie is the worst SW movie.
It is pretty bad. That is fair. It's towards the bottom, I think.
When that happens, even less people want to go to the theaters. Point of all of this is, it's hard to be in this position where I'm devastated at the potential of just losing theaters altogether, and to look at the 2025 slate, the trailer, the first, well, not the first, but one of the first big trailers for 2025 movies to come out, and it's more...
Just about, small point, 2026. 2025 is almost over. It's not the upcoming slate of 2025. We're at the end of the slate. It's December 2025. It's 2026 you're talking about. I get the excitement, but like, come on, did you edit this video? Did you like stop and go like, wait a sec, I'm saying the wrong thing. Side note, I sound pretty silly, wrong one. Or like a little note on the screen saying you misspoke. Something. It just feels like you missed it. You talked about the wrong year. Anyway.
More sludge. It's more stuff that I could never recommend people watching. It's another movie that has flop written all over it. So let's get into the marketing behind James Gunn's Supergirl. I know that Craig Gillespie, who did do a very good movie with
Finally, one of you people mentioned Craig Gillespie. How is it that of the 3 people we've watched so far, Jester Bell at least has broken expectations slightly? Like, how is it that Jester Bell is giving the best takes here outside of Troy Oboya? How is Jester... Oh, Ultraviolet was terrible. I forgot about Ultraviolet. That's a good point. Or the Aeon Flux movie. That was rough. How is Jester Bell the most based one so far of these? How? This is baffling to me. This is bizarre. Anyway, back to this.
I Tanya before. I know that he's technically the director of this movie, but make no mistake, this is a James Gunn movie. It is James Gunn through and through in the same way.
Oh, okay. So it's like, oh no, there is a director, but really James Gunn's in charge. How do you know? You haven't seen the movie yet. You saw a trailer put out by Warner Brothers Marketing that follows the tropes of a teaser trailer to be successful, establish a tone with a popular song, show some action beats, etc. There's a lot you don't see of the movie yet. But it does follow the Tom King comic pretty closely. You should know this because I'm assuming you've read the comic.
Way that all movies that come from Marvel are essentially just Kevin Feige projects. James Gunn is just...
Yes, of course. Wakanda Forever is exactly like Captain America 4 in terms of style.
Hiring yes men to make his projects. So let's talk about the marketing behind Supergirl. Supergirl was already said by James Gunn to be like Guardians. Oh, what a surprise. That's all the guy can ever make. So they put out this poster.
Where does he say that? Let me look that up. Where does he say that? Here's a quote for here. It looks like that.
At Stingertopia3169 super chatted $10. Basically survivorship bias. Only see what worked or a few fails. But never see how much media was awful back then. I have a vested love in much of said bad media. I know there's still bad media.
Exactly. Just because you forgot about it doesn't mean it didn't happen. All right, we got something loading here. Wow, my computer's going slow. I gotta reset everything. It's going really slow right now. It's wild. I don't get it. I gotta fix it up. Must be some issue. Anyway, there is apparently a quote that does sound like it might imply that James Gunn said it was like that, but I'm not seeing a specific thing. And my computer's going slow, so I don't want to push it. I gotta reset the whole thing. Something's going screwy with it. Anyway, back to this.
And this little GIF the other day advertising the teaser trailer, and the poster says truth, justice, whatever. Wow, so edgy, James. You really got that edge there. Okay, before we get into it, before I go on a rant, okay, this is the problem with the premise of this movie and what we see in the trailer as well. It's advertising itself to being the cynical sister to the Superman movie. Like, it's supposed to be the answer to altruistic superheroes, that Supergirl is cynical and depressed and she's drinking and
Well, it's not an answer, it's a foil. It's meant to show contrast so that each character is different in how they express grief and feeling. Supergirl witnessed the destruction of Krypton. She saw it firsthand, and she deals with that through coping through self-destructive means. However, she's given a chance in this movie to find a productive outlet for her pain. That's the story for the comics, too. From the Women of Tomorrow comic, which I'm assuming you've read, Justabel, since you wrote for a comic book site for a while, Batman News or Batman whatever. You know, she wrote comic reviews for a very long time. So let's see what you say.
And I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit. In the trailer, she says, you know, he believes in the good of people, and she believes in the truth, which is all people are just terrible and stuff like that. Here is the problem with that. Here's the problem with the
She didn't say that. She saw the truth. That not all people are good, or that not all people have good in them. It's not all people are terrible. That's another perspective. That's a cynical message. She's more grounded, maybe. More cynical, perhaps, than Superman, but that does not mean completely cynical.
Tagline, truth, justice, whatever, is that if we were living in a time where we were getting a lot of altruistic characters, whether it was superheroes or just heroic characters in general, then yeah, it would make sense to do this movie. It would make sense to do a cynical take, a quote-unquote edgier take, at least edgier compared to the movies we've been given. But we never got the altruism first. James Gunn's Superman felt like he did not want to make the movie. He didn't want to do Superman, and I will never forget that quote before he signed on to it that said that Superman was not a character that enticed him. Krypto was what he finally got to get himself to work on the project, because that's what they wanted him to do.
See, I'm not sure, unless you cite the quote specifically, Justabel, I don't really believe what you have to say. Even taking you at face level, he still made the movie Superman. So, like, I don't trust your memory on this one, Justabel. Your credibility without a source is very shot. You need to provide evidence for your claims. You're talking off the cuff. You're clearly maybe even half remembering what he even said. You're going off memory. You're not reading the exact line. Therefore, I can't take what you're saying seriously. I can't take it at face value because I can't believe your memory. You know, your memory is unreliable in the situation. So I can't exactly say, "Oh, Justabel knows better than I do. I'll take her at her word. She's trustworthy." I've found you in misinformation before. I've caught you in lies. Well, not lies. I don't want to assume lying, but I've found cases where you misrepresent what's actually happening with a situation. You are not a reliable amount of information. Oh, gonna send quiz quote. Okay, with the quote, she's not incorrect. Okay, cool. Let's take a look at the quote. Oh, absolutely. Okay, let's take a look. Okay. Okay, so here's the quote about Guardians of the Galaxy. So it's from a Rolling Stone interview. Thanks, Nerdy, by the way, for sending this my way. So in regards to the ending of Peacemaker, Season 2, the interview question was like this: will we be seeing these threads from Peacemaker in Lanterns and Supergirl, or is it like really arc not necessary for the larger story? And then he said, both these things are worked in. We knew both of these stories were a part of what we originally put together, so they're part of the overall tapestry, but they're also their own thing. Supergirl especially is a space adventure. It's like Guardians. Now, that's interesting. In context of the Rolling Stones quote, it sounds as though he's saying that it's a space adventure, therefore it's like Guardians. He's not saying in terms of story structure or style it's like Guardians, but the setting is like Guardians. So again, deeply out of context. He does say it's like Guardians, but in the sense that both Guardians and Supergirl take place in space. That's it. all this nonsense about, oh, it's basically Guardians of the Galaxy. Ripping off Guardians of the Galaxy. They both take place in space. That's about it. That's the big difference. A planetary travel-to-travel story. That's it. So Jessica Biel is full of shit, is what it is.
To do. The Superman movie is like a speed run where there's barely any time to breathe. It never wants to stay with anything. Superman gets, put in prison early on in the film so that James Gunn
About halfway through the film, but sure.
can play around with characters like...
Also, Jessica Biel, there is a 12-minute scene in Superman where Lois Lane and Clark Kent talk. A 12-minute conversation. And it flies by. You don't realize how much time it's taken up. Lingers in the scene. Takes its time. That is in the film.
At Shinthia-Cat super chatted $1.99. You had a poll how fixing Batgirl ruined her, which...
Barbara Gordon, New 52. I'm still working on that script. It will come out eventually. Hopefully soon.
At Austin LaPlante 4203 super chatted $5. James Gunn's Superman is the movie that says kindness is the real punk rock.
Mm-hmm.
That there is value in being a kind and decent man in a world of cynics.
It's hard to see that as anything but optimistic. That is the foil Jessica Biel is ignoring. The foil between positivity and negativity. Superman is altruistic. Supergirl is cynical. Or at least in pain. More so in pain than Superman is, I think. Superman looks to the past for comfort. Supergirl sees the past as agony and trauma. That's the big difference. And it's a very clear foil that is being established. Should Barbara have made Oracle then? I think so. I really think that the changes made... I think that the Gail Simone Batgirl run is good, but it took the role from Stephanie Brown. I don't like that.
Like Mr. Terrific and Guy Gardner that he actually wants to play around with and do more silly antics and jokes that were considered edgy and dirty for a Marvel movie back in 2014 because James Gunn never left Guardians of the Galaxy. It was so clear he did not want to actually do Superman. And Superman's character development is so...
Jessica Biel's making a lot of assumptions here. And again, the problem with this whole assumption, I would say Guy Gardner's barely in the movie. He has like a few scenes. That's it. Mr. Terrific has more, but he really only plays in like one key scene and he's doing like cleanup duty for most of the film after that. Superman is the driving actor in the narrative.
So shallow in the movie. It just does not feel actually sincere. It felt like James Gunn was just trying to create an answer for Zack Snyder and say, okay, I made a hopeful Superman. He spent barely any time on that character. There is not a lot of depth in the movie.
How about the scene where he talks to his dad? How about the scene where he watches someone get gunned down in front of him, who he had a conversation with? There is so much depth there. And clearly based on the behind-the-scenes stuff we've seen with Zack Snyder talking with David Cornsweet, it's clear a lot of thought was put into how the character acts in every single instance. And there was debate. There was back and forth. There was pull and tug on where the character should go. That implies a lot of thought put into every moment of the character. Because when you have a director who's having to convince the actor to do what he wants to do, you have to have an argument that convinces them. You know? And that shows that this kicked a lot of thought put into him.
He just did not want to do Superman. So for me, he didn't even do True.
At Otto Johnny super chatted $5. My father told me, when you make assumptions, you make an ass out of you, and well.
Yeah, we make an ass out of you and me, apparently, with her. So again, she spent 6 minutes at this video, roughly, and has not talked about Supergirl at all yet.
At WC Wit super chatted $4.99. They also seem to be including Argo City in this Kara's origin. So not only did she see Krypton die, she watched her city die slowly after that.
Yep, everyone's slowly going. It's a bleak movie, I feel like.
truth, justice, and the American way. He would never say that. So to me, to now say, oh, this is the time where we're doing the alternate to that, we're doing the cynical version of Superman, we're doing the one that is grungy and edgy, and the trailer opens with a dog peeing on something. Ooh, isn't this gross and edgy? Like, it's like you never did the altruism and the wholesomeness.
You never did the altruism or wholesomeness. You never did the altruism of Superman. That's what every single person who watched Superman felt. That kindness was the new rock punk. That it was that genuine empathy was a big thing. There's a heartfelt speech about kindness and empathy in that first Superman movie. I wonder sometimes if these grifters actually watch the movies they're talking about. Because it feels like, especially with this one right here, it's clear that she's going off of memory, but the memory is not sufficient in this case. I would digress, but that's what I have to say about that.
Of Superman in the first place. He could not help himself with the first Superman, whether he's joking about Superman harems or Guy Gardner's body count. He could not let go of that part of himself for that movie.
It's a couple of scenes. It's one joke. It's one joke with Guy Gardner about that. And it's not meant to be a joke. It's meant to be like kind of a moment that pushes Superman to reevaluate his entire past. What he forms his identity from is put into question by Lex Luthor's revelation. It's not a joke. I mean, the Guy Gardner line's a joke, but the rest of the scene isn't. It's played painfully straight. So, because one joke's in the movie that's like Zack Snyder being unable to get over his own like hang-ups with humor, seems like a bizarre statement to me, but what do I know?
We never got the wholesome, altruistic Superman movie.
What about when he saves kids from like the kaiju attack? What about when he tries to save the guy he knows in the street who Lex Luthor shoots in the head? I feel that's pretty important, but hey, what do I know?
And so when we go to Supergirl, it's like, this actually is not the answer. This is just like, there was a little curtain over the Superman movie, and now the curtain's off. That's what it is. They're not really opposite takes. It's just Supergirl is the movie that James Gunn actually wants to produce, whereas Superman, he was barely masking himself. That's the only difference.
Jester Bell, you're really assuming James Gunn wanted to do one thing or the other. He made the movie he wanted to make. If he didn't want to make it, he didn't have to. He could have done anything else. He could have started with a Justice League movie. He could have had someone else direct Superman. That's the problem. I don't think she has any actual proof to back up what she's talking about. But big shock. Jezebel has no evidence for what she's claiming to do.
Here. So yeah, truth, justice, whatever, that doesn't work when you didn't actually go with truth, justice, and the American way in the first movie. So, but then...
Well, what do you think he went with then?
Oh my goodness, that GIF literally shows Supergirl wearing the same headphones and Walkman as Star-Lord. I'm not making this up. It's the same, orange headphones and Walkman that are nostalgia from the 80s, because who uses cord headphones anymore?
Why are you getting fucking hung up over a fucking GIF? By the way, GIF, not GIF.
We're getting that again. He is making no attempt to even mask that this is just a copy of Guardians of the Galaxy. Supergirl is literally an insert for Star-Lord all over again.
Okay, that's what I don't understand. So, because there is one scene of Supergirl dancing in a club, looks like, that makes her like Star-Lord. Star-Lord is a very different character. Star-Lord, I don't think we really see drunk too much outside of the third film. Star-Lord's problem is a failure to launch. He can't move on. He is aging and can't let go of his childhood nostalgia. Supergirl is a character traumatized by the past. Directly traumatized, and can't face the past and has to escape it through drinking. That's the character from the comics. That's the character we're seeing in these trailers. Jezebel doesn't seem to understand that characters are not the items they wear. A character isn't simply what they wear. A character is what they are. A character is what they feel. A character is what they think, how they operate, what drives them, what they perceive in the world around them. Jester Bell and a lot of these grifters have a deeply superficial viewpoint of characterization. They seem to think that if you just wear the right clothes and have the right outfits on and the right get-ups on, that miraculously the character becomes whatever they want the character to be. But the reality simply is this. The reality is simply this. Character is a combination of everything. What they want, what they think, what they need, what they desire, what gets in the way of all that. Their appearance informs what their insides are. Their inside informs what their appearance is. All these components are deliberately connected and combined in the characterization and the design of the personality. Consider for a second Deadpool. Deadpool is a character who uses humor to avoid addressing pain. Has a colorful costume on to avoid exposing the cancer-ridden exterior of his person. He is a grotesque man with a not kind heart. That's not true. He's a crazy heart, wild at heart. But he has a good soul deep down. But he is deeply unstable, deeply unwell, tormented by his own mania and own suffering. Humor is the coping mechanism. Simply put, Supergirl is informed here by her trauma, by her pain. Star-Lord is also informed by pain, but a different kind, using media in the past as escapism, as opposed to self-destructive tendencies. He can't mature. Supergirl cannot look back. Complete opposites. I digress.
And then we get to the trailer itself.
Okay.
And I was over it. I was over it when it started. If you want to get me to see a movie, a CGI dog, a badly CGI dog peeing on something.
Oh no, Crypto the Super Dog, a character that everyone now knows about, appears in the trailer. Jesus Christ.
Something is not gonna make me want to go see it.
Okay, well, clearly it made a lot of other people want to see Superman. That's the common thread. People are going to want to know, how does this movie connect to Superman? I mean, I know they saw Supergirl in the last movie at the end, but people are going to go, I remember Supergirl at the end of the movie. They'll be like, oh, hey, Crypto. Remember Crypto? He was in the last movie I saw that was really popular. That's the connective tissue. It's the thing that ties the movies together for common audiences. Also, Crypto is a major character in the Woman of Tomorrow comic. You would know this if you read the comic. Did you read the comic? You're a comic fan, you're a comic critic. Hopefully you've read Women of Tomorrow. Women of Tomorrow. It's a good comic and should inform your perspective of the script. Let's see if you reference it.
But that's the thing about the trailer, is the trailer looked like pee. It's like that is the first image they put in your mind when it starts, and of course they have the 80s retro music with Blondie, of course, because this is just Guardians of the Galaxy all over again.
How often did Blondie play in Guardians of the Galaxy? Was that a particularly Guardians-esque song? I don't think so.
And you go to space locations that are very much Guardians of the Galaxy. And it's embarrassing that is all James Gunn knows how to do.
All James Gunn knows how to do is Guardians of the Galaxy. Because that's what the Suicide Squad did, right? That was totally Guardians of the Galaxy, aesthetically, in space, right? That's totally what Slither was, what Dawn of the Dead was, what Scooby-Doo was, what Brightburn was. By the way, you know that James Gunn isn't directing or writing the film. You know this because you said so at the beginning of the film. Also, those locations are from the Tom King comic. If you want to point out anything, bring it up with Tom King. It's based on his comic. Again, it's fascinating. None of these people are discussing how this is, in some cases, shot for shot, what the comic has that was written before James Gunn ever became involved with DC.
But yeah, you set the tone here, and it's just everything has just a yellow pea filter over it, and there's drinking and depression and cynicism, and it's like, yeah, that's exactly what audiences want to see today. Once again, if this was an answer to like overly,
it's an adaptation of the comic where she drinks to forget the pain she's in. Also, Iron Man drinks. So what's your fucking point? People want to see Iron Man.
optimistic superhero movies, then that would be one thing, but it's not. Like, we've already had so many cynical characters. We've already had so many superhero movies that don't understand what a hero is, and that where the heroes are actually selfish. It's not interesting to see another one. It's not interesting to see a Supergirl who has this incredible power and is out as one of the last Kryptonians, is out there wasting her life away drinking and getting into fights.
Why isn't it? Why isn't it interesting? Justify, you can explain. You bring it up. It's not interesting. Okay, well, why isn't it interesting to you? Because I think it's interesting. So convince me it's not interesting. Convince me.
It's not enticing, and it's like we've seen it a million times over now.
Have we? Have we? Where? Where have we seen this before? Not saying you're wrong, but where have we seen it before? Closest I can think to it is Thor Ragnarok with Valkyrie. But we've seen something exactly like this before. Valkyrie is the closest example in film I can think of it as. And people generally like Valkyrie. Even in movies that aren't that good, people like Valkyrie.
Now, but yeah, it looked awful, and it's just like James Gunn cannot make anything new. It's all, he cannot escape that one movie he made in 2014 with the
James Gunn isn't making this movie, all right? Like, I don't know how many times. Like that's the problem. James Gunn can't do anything new. Okay, well, what about the Suicide Squad? That takes place on an island. It's no space aside from Starro. There's no space elements to it. Totally different. What about Slither?
The 80s retro music and a space setting that was trying to be the edgy answer to the other Marvel movies. And that's the problem, is James Gunn's version of edgy is what it was to be edgy compared to a Marvel movie back in 2014, because he's never evolved since then.
Okay, Jester Bell. James Gunn's idea of edgy is what it meant to be in a Marvel film. Oh, ho, 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 ho. Jester Bell, here's your homework. Watch a fucking trauma movie. Watch a trauma film. You ever see a trauma movie? Those are edgy. That's where James Gunn cut his teeth originally. In Traumaville. Watch Tromeo and Juliet. Why don't you? Watch a Lloyd Kaufman venture. You tell me if that's Marvel edgy. Trauma. There we go. Watch that. Now that Toxic Avenger, yeah, exactly. Well, James Gunn didn't work on Toxic Avenger, but the Toxic Avenger is amazing. Classic New Jersey superhero right there. Love Toxic Avenger. It's my favorites. That's every scene in that movie is hilarious. Deeply screwed up, but deeply funny. What about Dawn of the Dead, the Zack Snyder film written by James Gunn, where a pregnant woman is bitten by a zombie, becomes a zombie while giving birth, and gives birth to a zombie baby. That's pretty edgy to me. Pretty violent. It's written by James Gunn. So, what are you going to do?
Because, when Guardians of the Galaxy came out, it was different. It was a risk. It was edgy for a Marvel.
At Hermanita Rules Super Chatted $1.99. A trauma movie would break Jester Bell.
Genuinely. Also, Guardians of the Galaxy is the least edgy film James Gunn's ever made. Hell, before that he made Super with Elliot Page and Rain, the guy, Dwight from The Office. That's a movie that's edgy. That's a brutal, brutal movie. Or hell, frickin' Slither. Which I think still to this day, that barnyard scene is one of the singular... It's one of those moments that's so disgusting, but also so deeply funny. Like Like, Slither is so deeply repulsive on every level, but it's so funny. Rainn Wilson, there we go, thank you. Yeah, no, Slither is a very funny movie, but like in a gross way, like deeply repulsive, but like every scene of that is so ridiculous and absurd. Love it. Oh, that boneyard scene's gross, right? It's so nasty. Like, it's one of those scenes that's just like you recoil, but like it's just so goofy. Oh, it's so gross. Oh my goodness. Anyway.
Marvel movie. Not edgy for a movie in general. It just went a little further with the dirty humor and the swearing than a regular Marvel movie, which were just for families, would be at the time. Guardians was still family movies, though. So it's like this guy is not nearly as edgy as he thinks he is. It's just, he's just stuck in...
Jester Bell, have you ever actually watched anything that James Gunn worked on outside of Marvel? Like, really, have you ever actually watched anything outside of his Marvel stuff? Because I get the vibe you're a very sheltered person. I don't think you've ever explored dark cinema before. Or low-budget, low-brow cinema. Again, Tromeo and Juliet. That's James Gunn's debut writing gig. It is a trip. It is a trip. Also, again, you're a comic critic. How are you not mentioning the fact that Supergirl is based heavily on the Tom King comic? Why is no one mentioning, even Critical Drinker, who shows it's based on Supergirl Woman from Tomorrow, on his video, no one's mentioning it's based on a comic?
At the guy 493 super chatted $2. Someone show Jester Bell some French extremity.
Can you imagine her watching Martyrs? Can you freaking imagine her watching High Tension, Irreversible, Inside? Can you imagine that? Them, I think it was, was that the one? Them or, yeah. Martyrs especially, man. Martyrs is a freaking rough movie. Y'all see Martyrs? Type 1 in chat if you've seen Martyrs. Type 2 if you haven't. Everyone right now, if you've seen Martyrs, type 1 in chat. If you haven't, type 2 in chat. Because Martyrs is a trip. Only if you can handle something deeply disturbing, watch Martyrs. Okay, I see mostly 2s. I won't harp on it too long, but Martyrs is a rough watch. I was watching it with my spouse. We were watching it together. And, we're people who laugh at Human Centipede. We think that's funny. Martyrs is a tough movie to sit through, man. It's amazing, but it's a tough movie to watch. Or Come and See. That's another tough one. Anyway, it is a horror film. It's not spooky so much as profoundly disturbing. Anyway, back to this.
And over 10 years ago right now about what would have been considered a bit more cynical and edgy back then. So when I look at this film, I think, well, the visuals make me think of Black Adam because of all the yellow that you're treated to. I'm not interested in any of the premise because I've seen it a million times before with the humor and with the cynicism and all that from James Gunn. And it's like, it's so cliched at this point to do a cynical take on superheroes. And that's all James Gunn can do. But here's the thing. James Gunn is the biggest hack, I think, in Hollywood. I'm going to go that far because we keep talking that everything he
So again, this isn't even about Supergirl. None of these people analyzing the trailer are talking about the character of Supergirl. Again, the Troyo Boyo one was a baseline I showed you at the beginning. That's the baseline of an analysis. Looking at the character, looking at what they're trying to do, seeing artistic intention and how to compare it with previous works. What Jezebel is doing is going on a rant about James Gunn because that's all she knows how to do. She is not a critic. She's a yapper. That's it. And James Gunn is an easy person to point to, even though James Gunn didn't write the script, and didn't direct the film. Nor did he create the source material the film's inspired by. That's it.
At Wyatt Ahmedin 5747 super chatted $5. I am currently picturing Jester Bell watching Raw, and it's very funny.
Raw's not even that gross a movie. That's the funny thing. I didn't find Raw that repulsive. I liked Raw a bit, but I don't think it was that gross. But I can imagine her cringing and saying, it's the most repulsive thing I've ever seen. I can't believe anyone made this, that, and the other. I can see them doing it. I can see her going with that. Raw's fun. I like Raw. That's a good movie. Man, Raw's a good one. I gotta watch Raw again. That's a fun one.
Makes is just Guardians of the Galaxy. He made Guardians of the Galaxy 3 times with 3 movies. Then he made the Suicide Squad, which was Guardians of the Galaxy. Then he made Superman, which was a masked Guardians of the Galaxy. He even gave himself his own Guardians team so he wouldn't have to be stuck with Superman. Then he does Peacemaker, which is more Guardians of the Galaxy. And now he does Supergirl, which is more Guardians of the Galaxy.
How are all of those things Guardians of the Galaxy? What do you define as Guardians of the Galaxy? What are the qualities that make Guardians of the Galaxy Guardians of the Galaxy? Because it sounds to me like you're saying, it's this, without actually establishing what that means. What qualities? Because I can make the argument that, Martin Scorsese, all his films are Goodfellas. He was making Goodfellas over and over again. Even before Goodfellas was making Goodfellas. I can make that argument. It'd be fucking stupid, but I could say it. The problem is you got to keep in mind, what qualities are you complaining about? What are you yapping about? Before you start yapping, you got to get a sense of what you're talking about.
He got one big hit, which was the peak of his career back in 2014, and all he does is remake the movie, and nothing is hiding it. Everything. Supergirl is just Star-Lord. He's giving her back the Walkman and the headphones and the dancing, just like Star-Lord. He's given us that, the alien characters in cheap-looking costumes because he thinks that they're goofy and silly. He's giving us all of that in a space adventure with the 8.
Interesting you said that. Peaked with Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, huh? Interesting. Let me take a look at this. James Gunn movies ranked by box office. Let's take a look. Interesting. It's funny you say this because they're rankings of these movies by box office success, right? Super's at the bottom, of course. Actually, what's funny is that Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and 2 outgrossed the original.
At Nicholas Meisel super chatted $2. Everything is GOTG. Same argument as saying woke.
Exactly. Yeah, honestly, Guardians and Superman gross roughly the same amount of money, actually, which is funny. Very similar grossing, quite frankly. They're all grouped well. They're all high-grossing films, except for The Suicide Squad, but that was a COVID film, so it makes some sense.
80s nostalgia music all over again. So he can't...
Also, Guardians of the Galaxy has 90s nostalgia music also, and 70s as well. So it's a range of decades.
Can't make anything different, but here is the embarrassing thing about it. It would be one thing, and this would also just tell me he's just such a hack because he so obviously remakes the same movie over and over again. It's just Guardians, but Guardians of the Galaxy, the first...
Okay, here's a question for you, Jezebel. How is Superman a remake of Guardians of the Galaxy? Let's look at it from a plot standpoint perspective, all right? Guardians of the Galaxy is a MacGuffin chase movie, trying to get the MacGuffin to a different location. It's a story about the MacGuffin, right? Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is a story without a MacGuffin. It's about fatherhood. It's about kind of trying to find personal pain in family and human connection with one another. Guardians of the Galaxy 3, it's about finding a way to save one life. Structurally, the conflict of each of these three films is vastly different. Superman is a story about inspiring hope in the world through good action. And despite your past redefining how you see your present, you choose your family. Again, the theme of family is important, yeah, but they're not similar from a structure perspective, because there is no singular MacGuffin that Superman has to protect or retrieve. It's not a factor in the whole movie. So, from a structural standpoint, Superman and Guardians have precious little in common. So explain to me how they're remakes of the same film again, when the entire structure of the film is nothing like Guardians of the Galaxy.
Movie wasn't even his idea. Now, this is something that actually has been getting out there for a while now. It's been talked for years, and it was really shown a light on in the book about the reign of Marvel Studios. But James Gunn's narrative about the creation of the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie has always been that, yeah, Nicole Perlman, she wrote the script, and then he completely rewrote the script into his vision and gave it, you know, what Guardians of the Galaxy is, with the music and you know, the characters and all of that kind of stuff. But what has been said behind the scenes is, what the actual truth happened is, Nicole Perlman came up with the Guardians script, and she came up with the idea of Star-Lord having an attachment to the music that his mother gave him, having the Walkman and all of that kind of stuff. And that James Gunn essentially bullied her out of the project and took the script.
Let's read the whole line. Perlman declined to challenge Gunn publicly, saying, "I credit everyone on that film, including James, for making it so beautiful." However, her friend Zach Stentz, co-writer of the Thor screenplay, objected on her behalf. Nicole had the knife fight for her credit on Guardians of the Galaxy, but she is probably the preeminent female action tentpole writer now because she was the first woman to have her name on it, on not just a Marvel movie, but a Marvel movie that people really love. She threw a party when the movie came out called the Fuck James Gunn Party because she had won that very bruising credit arbitration. The thing I'm still angry about, and I say this as a fan of James Gunn's director, was that he was very clearly selectively leaking stuff to his friends in the fanboy media circles to undermine her credit. When Matthew Vaughn decided to have a temper tantrum over the fact that we got screen credit on X-Men First Class, at least he did it under his own name. So that's actually not what you're saying it is. You're saying that James Gunn was presenting his narrative about the film to people, that one friend argued that there was more to it than not, but it's hard to verify that. Still, here's the thing about all that. At no point in this example are you saying he didn't rewrite the script. Like, that's the thing. You're saying, like, you just said the narrative is that she wrote the script and that James Gunn rewrote it, which everyone knows. This account doesn't change that. She just wanted a writer's credit on the film. That's not the same thing as saying James Gunn didn't rewrite the script. That's the reality of it. Also, the problem here is there's no case of bullying here. It's more that James Gunn would try to leak information to the press to make himself sound better. Okay. But that's also not what you're describing it as. That's the problem. You are describing a specific event and not doing it accurately. Further, who was she trying to get credit for the script from? James Gunn wouldn't control that detail. That's a production company thing. And the production company is Marvel Studios. More specifically, Disney. This is a Bob Iger problem. So again, the problem isn't that, I'm not saying that no one here is an angel without clay feet, you know? There's some angels with clay feet going on here. But if you're gonna flash a quote on screen, it doesn't even say who she had to fight. Had the knife fight for a credit on Guardians of the Galaxy. Production Studios. Never says she had to fight James Gunn. If you're gonna quote something, do it right.
And yeah, made some changes based on the characters that would be in it, like Nova was taken out, Thanos was changed to another villain, but that she came up with a lot of the core ideas of what Guardians of the Galaxy was, and it was not as much of the overhaul as James Gunn would like you to think it is. But James Gunn took credit for the concept of Guardians of the Galaxy, essentially, even though it...
Again, she's credited on the screenplay. Even in your narrative, she still wrote the screenplay.
wasn't actually him. Now, that's been more talked about, that Guardians of the Galaxy was a script that James Gunn essentially bullied his way into taking credit for. Now, this part is not as confirmed. I've just heard through the grapevine that also Joss Whedon might have had a hand of what Guardians of the Galaxy was, because Joss Whedon was more involved in, terms of being a consultant with Marvel Studios movies back then. Now, that part is not confirmed, but I say all of that to say is all of this James Gunn copying himself is all over a concept that looks likely was not even his in the first place.
Okay, what about Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and 3? That's the problem with your rambling, man. Like, Guardians of the Galaxy 1 had an initial screenwriter, sure. What about the next two? Different plot structures, different structures to it. We'll see.
Concept that he essentially stole from somebody else and bullied his way into getting credit for it. So the peak of his career, Guardians of the Galaxy, this movie that ran off of 80s nostalgia and, grungy, edgy for a Marvel movie.
Here's the thing also. What was it that he rewrote? What did he change? Dialogue? Pacing? Structure? If so, he gets a screenplay credit on it, because those are massive overhauls. Having the initial idea doesn't mean the ideas were good. That's the issue you're having here. Just because someone came up with the idea first doesn't mean it was refined, doesn't mean it didn't need more work. Yeah. The script was rewritten on page 1, yeah, basically. Yeah, apparently it was rewritten from scratch. Even with the book you're citing, as I remember it, because I've read the book too, it was rewritten completely. And there are multiple sources that confirm this. A secondary source outside of those initially there is not enough to prove without a shadow of a doubt something happens.
Heroes coming together in a ragtag team, that wasn't actually him. But embarrassingly, it's going to be 12 years since that movie when Supergirl comes out in 2026. That's all he can make anymore. And that's why I call this guy just...
Let's take a look at that real quick for a second, right? James Gunn. Let's see what James Gunn has worked on since then. So James Gunn scripts. Screenplays written by James Gunn. Have you ever heard of the movie The Belko Experiment? Because that's a movie James Gunn wrote after Guardians of the Galaxy. Different kind of script entirely. Also, he's mainly written the trilogy of films over these last several years. Is what it is. Point is, I just don't understand your argument, Justabel, because it's not holding up under any scrutiny.
The biggest hack in Hollywood, because I've never seen...
Yes, the Belko Experiment is not directed by James Gunn, but James Gunn wrote the script for the Belko Experiment.
A guy get this much success off of remaking the same movie over and over again when it's off of a movie that apparently was not even his idea in the first place. This whole Walkman superhero, edgy, cynical...
So she's ranted this whole time and has still not mentioned that Supergirl is based on a Tom King graphic novel. The lines from the movie are taken from the Tom King graphic novel. James Gunn didn't come up with this idea. He has from the very beginning credited Supergirl as Tom King's graphic novel adapted to the screen. So, with all of your rambling, which, by the way, is not rooted in reality whatsoever, even a basic search can tell you that much, or just using the evidence of your eyes and ears, the movie isn't even based on a James Gunn script. It's based on Tom King's miniseries. But no, the Walkman being the same design means it's the same movie entirely. My God, you are so superficial with your analysis. Oh yeah. So nerdy right here. The Walkman was not in the first draft. The focus was essentially on being Andy from Parks and Rec. Didn't exist until Gunn took over and Pratt was cast. So Chris Pratt being hired as Chris Pratt changed the direction of the script. Not surprising. He rewrote the script for Chris Pratt, who was not attached to the project when the initial script was written. And that's in the book you're citing.
Dancing to the 80s music, it wasn't even him in the first place, but he just keeps replaying that hit over and over again. Maybe the guy knows.
Jezebel, you don't know that. You don't know what was rewritten. Hell, the source you showed didn't even say the whole script was hers. Just that she wanted a writer's credit. Your entire argument is built on a throne of bullshit. Sorry.
He's a hack. Maybe he knows that it's not long for him. He's just making what he wants to make until he's inevitably out of there. But that's where we're at now. So back to the Supergirl trailer. Yeah, it's like, AI is taking over Hollywood, and it's unfortunate. I disagree that AI is going to be the magic people think that it is, and that it's going to make,
What the fuck does AI have to do with this conversation? Back to the Supergirl trailer. 9/11. Jesus Christ. Just nothing.
Create our heart's desire. I completely disagree with that. But it's like Hollywood has wanted it to be that way for so long. It's like AI can only ever regurgitate things from the past, but that's already what Hollywood is doing. This movie would have looked like, dated 5 years ago. Like, we're already getting a lot of this stuff thanks to the prominence of Guardians of the Galaxy. And never forget that James Gunn and Guardians of the Galaxy had major influences on the kinds of humor that would be used in superhero movies, the kinds of music. Like, it's rare to get a superhero film that doesn't have, like, a nostalgic pop song or the Marvel humor.
Iron Man, the original one, has Black Sabbath throughout. And AC/DC. Among other things. Pop culture exists. The movie trailers have had... Watchmen has Smashing Pumpkins songs in it, if I remember correctly, right? Yeah. Batman Forever had a Seal song attached to the credits. Like, hell, if you want to talk about superhero movies with pop songs in it, there are 3 Prince songs in 1989's Batman. Does that mean Batman did the thing that James Gunn's doing way before James Gunn got around to making films? Prince is a pretty big deal. You have the Joker dancing to a Prince song on a float. Same concept. I guess James Gunn ripped off Tim Burton. Is that it?
But and then that makes its way to other movies.
By the way, that's why I told you to take sips if you're playing the drinking game, whether they mention Guardians of the Galaxy. If you physically took a drink every time she mentioned Guardians of the Galaxy, you have alcohol poisoning now. Congratulations, please get to the hospital.
Movies as well, as they became very influenced by comic book movies. So it's like we've seen it all before, but I'm just not looking forward to seeing Guardians of the Galaxy 6 from this movie. And it just does not, like, this is the worst that it could possibly drum up. I think that there's going to be perhaps an apathy towards this movie because it's what we've seen over and over again.
Jezebel, at no point have you actually discussed the movie.
And it's not actually an answer to a positive, optimistic superhero movie because James Gunn didn't even want to really work on Superman. He wanted to fill it up with his other Guardians of the Galaxy-like characters. Now, mask off. He doesn't have to pretend anymore with Superman. Now he can just make what he wants with Supergirl. So, it's unfortunate. I don't want theaters to die. That is my worst fear, perhaps coming alive right now. But when I look at a movie like this, and it's supposed to be one of the big summer movies next year, it's like, this is not going to do much, guys. I think it'll do Black Adam numbers at best, but, like, having a dog peeing be your big hook for your film in a landscape where we...
Did you click off the trailer after the first 2 seconds? The dog peeing's is like early on. There's a whole trailer beyond that, though. Like, they show Krypton, they show you the concept, they show you what's going on. Again, you're a comic critic. That's what you started off as. You should know what the story of the movie is, and it's directly adapting Women of Tomorrow. Women of Tomorrow. So I keep saying Women of Tomorrow. Women of Tomorrow.
Already have so many cynical projects and we barely remember what the superhero is, like, it doesn't entice me, and the rest of it just looks like more pee filter and grunge, and it just is not interesting to me. So I think that this is just gonna wind up being overlooked by audiences. If Superman couldn't get to 700 million, I think this would be lucky to be a 300 million movie. I just don't think anyone is going to watch this. And I don't think, like, I'm thinking that there's, like, apart from Batman that always looks good, you know, the Scarlett Johansson casting, which might potentially be Phantasm, that sounds great. I just am kind of losing hope for these DC characters because, like, what next after James Gunn? Are they going to be farmed as Netflix IP? It's just getting exhausted to hang on to these characters when they're always so consistently done badly, and that's why I think a lot of people have just let go of them. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the Supergirl trailer. I hate it. I hate that Supergirl is essentially, she is Star-Lord. I hate the truth, justice, and whatever thing. That's all I got for you guys today. If you want to support me on here, please consider becoming a member or a Patreon.
So she has said absolutely nothing of any value, and almost everything she said is demonstrably false. Yeah, I can't imagine why this grift didn't take off. So let me show you a dose of reality. The Supergirl trailer currently has 21 million views. 21 million views for one trailer in a few days. Oh, God, EVS? Jon Del Arroz? We already looked at Jon Del Arroz once, but, Ethan Van Sciver. Haven't seen your name pop up on my feed in a very long time. Oh, Ethan, I still have beef with you. I'm not done with your crap yet. Oh, do I hesitate to give Ethan Van Sciver shit? Oh, man. Oh, that's tempting. I'm sure Shad also has a video too, but Ethan Van Sciver, though. Oh, man, he's an irritating person. Oh, I can't stand Ethan Van Sciver. Shad has no video, huh? That's interesting. Well, Shad's been feuding with his brother recently, too. You hear about this? He's been having a big public blowout with Jazza. You know what? Oh, it's 10 minutes long. Let's take a look. Well, let's end with Ethan Van Sciver, the founder of Comicsgate itself. Let's take a listen. I see you completely embraced AI.
All right, hey, it's Comic Artist Pro Secrets. I'm Ethan Van Sciver, and this is Warner Brothers' new 15-second teaser trailer for next...
Is he watching it from a fucking phone? Is he just make this into a phone video? God, he's so fucking lazy.
Year's Supergirl movie by James Gunn. Let's take a look at this trailer real quick here. Shall we? Should we do it? Let's do it. Let's press this triangle here. See this triangle? I'm going to press it.
Wait, is this... It's not in the trailer.
Huh. All right, so in this movie, Supergirl is supposed to be kind of a piece of trash who, is irresponsible, et cetera, et cetera. She's got headphones on.
I'm kind of blown away at how lazy this is. This really? You're just fucking filming the fucking iPad? And it's not even the teaser. It's like a preview of it. Like, Jesus Christ. You worked at DC. You were a DC artist, man. God, this is pathetic. You helped co-create Jessica Cruz. And this is what you're resorting to? Like, at least screen share it, man. This is an edited video. It's not a short. It's like an edited video. And you're filming it off your camera. You're filming a YouTube short on your phone and uploading it as a full-length video.
on, which is interesting. Look at the headphones with a wire. And I guess the reason why she has headphones with a wire is because she does a lot of flying from planet to planet. So I don't know, Bluetooth probably. Is Bluetooth going to work on in another galaxy? Probably not. I would imagine.
How is Ethan Van Sciver filming a freaking video on an iPad coming up with the most insightful explanations for why she's wearing earphones? How is this possible? Jesus. That's actually clever. I'm not going to lie. That's actually not a bad explanation for it. Like you can't make a video, but that's a decent enough explanation. Jesus, that's funny.
Imagine probably not. So she's got these wired headphones. In the trailer, she's listening to Blondie's Call Me, which is a big hit song and a cool song from 1980. As you can see, I'm not crazy about, can I just say, like, I hate to be one of these guys who's immediately going to go in on the actress's look, but she doesn't look like a classically pretty actress. She doesn't look like the type of actress that I would personally cast to play Supergirl, but there is something kind of alien. That's not nice. There is something kind of alien about her face. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, no, I'm done with this. Okay, let's have one. Let's have one more. Let's have one quick one, and then we'll wrap it up after that. That was not a good one to end on. Like, okay, come on, really? It's very underwhelming. Let's see what we got here. That's actually gonna be a good trailer. Good trailer analysis. Oh, there we are. Nice. John Campea, I'm not a fan of. He's usually pretty. Oh, nice. ICHD. I was on that stream when he did that. Kristen Harloff. What happened to that guy? Kristen Harloff. Huh. You know, I think we have enough. I think we've seen enough of Supergirl right now. I think. Yeah, and she's a beautiful woman. She's a very beautiful woman. I think it's very sexist. Oh, actually, no, this is a good. Oh, Star-Lord for again. The title tells you everything you need to know. Star-Lord for girls. That's all you need to hear. That's the Geeks and Gamers perspective right from that. Harloff is shopping a pilot around. That's interesting. That's interesting. Okay, so I think we're done. I think we can close this all up. I think we've seen enough of Supergirl this week. This upcoming weekend will be a small charity stream. I was going to plan something a lot bigger, but it's going to be a small little charity stream before Christmas. Then Tuesday's a stream. And either Friday or Saturday, depending on when I can finish this video, will be a big one. A big old video for everyone. Oh my goodness. Am I doing a Stranger Things video? Not really. I'm not a big Stranger Things fan. I've had a little trouble with that series, getting into it, so. Oh, right, Street Fighter. I forgot about Street Fighter.
At 000 Agent 88 super chatted $5. Your description mentioned Street Fighter.
Yeah.
Want to
thank
touch
you.
on that?
Forgot about that one. Let's talk about Street Fighter real quick. Because this is an awesome trailer. I am so excited for this trailer. Like, I'm not going to have the music play, but this is a trailer right here. Look how perfect all of them look. Like they all look just ridiculous and over the top. I can't wait for this. This looks so dumb and so ridiculous. I cannot wait to see this one. Just freaking Eric Andre going nuts. You got Cody Rhodes going in here. Like you got Roman Reigns as Akuma. Like Jason Momoa doesn't show up in the trailer, but I am so hyped for this. I know there's been some controversy about who have they got for Dan. I'm not familiar with him, but I know that there's a lot of controversy with the actor. I get that. He sounds like a crappy person. But, and also, what's his name? Who's playing M. Bison in this? Polka Dot Man, Dasha Laman, or... I generally like... Where is he? There's Akuma. Ball shot. Where's Akuma in this? I know. Oh, he's right here. Here we go. This actor I generally like in movies. Like, he's one of those character actors who shows up a lot, usually plays like really interesting characters. I tend to like him a bit.
At WC Wit super chatted $5. What 2026 movies aside from this are you excited for? I'm eager for Spielberg's Disclosure Day after that trailer that dropped today.
Disclosure Day I'm excited for. It's Dune. Dune. Dune is the one I'm most excited for. By a mile, Dune. I'm not as big into the Odyssey as you would think. I love the Odyssey, but it's going to be hard after the Epic the Musical came out. It's going to be a little tricky to see that one. Yeah. Yeah, David Dashlamon. There you go. Late Night with the Devil is really good. I don't like the AI in that film, but he's really good in that film. Yeah, I'm excited for this. Yeah, no, there's no way you can top Raul Julia's M. Bison, though. He is, of course, has one of the single greatest moments in cinema history. I'm going to play it right now just because it's a great scene. Yeah, it's one of the all-time greats.
I don't remember any of it.
You don't remember?
It's a great scene.
For you, the day Bison graced your village was the most important day of your life.
But for me, it was Tuesday. What a great freaking line that is. It's so great. I want to just pause it so it doesn't get copyright struck or whatever, but like, such a good freaking line. Look.
But for me, it was Tuesday.
Such a... Like, the way you get an Academy Award-winning actor to play one of the cheesiest characters of all time. He did it for his kids. He was dying of cancer, tragically. And puts in this hammy but, like, understated performance in a terrible, shitty movie. But, oh my God, did he commit to the bit, and it's fantastic. I love this movie. It's so stupid. It's so genuinely stupid, but he's so good in it. Oh, it's amazing. Anyway, Response second story comes out later this week. Please watch it. It's going to be a big one. It's going to be over freaking 2 hours long, so it's going to be a big one. Hopefully it works out. We'll see. All right. That's all I got in for me today. Everyone, take care.